over to the professional.
Blessed by Panini, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The feels not falling for the FOMO. Listening to coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out
Started
to
off with a
Borders.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Freaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits, yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the bribe with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
GM, welcome to Coffee with Captain. I'm Cap. Welcome to show 1174. Appreciate y'all being here. GM to all the GMers in the chat this morning, from YouTube to Abstract, X Audio Spaces, and X Video. We've got Thomas. Yeah, good luck to the Knicks and Spurs fans. I'm pulling for the Spurs on this one. No offense to all my New York friends, but I want to see the Wemby dynasty arc begin. Block Mage, Aspiring Nobody, Mike Campbell, Absolute Zero. They say it's crazy talk about the Knicks. Osiris, and many, many more. We've got the audio spaces and the X video linked up top. Having, once again, some challenges getting the abstract stream going. There it goes. We should be good over there for all of our Teacher Katie and gang in the abstract chat. I'll pin that up top here in just a second. YouTube is in the chat and abstract is dropping right now. All those links are pinned up top if you'd like to catch the video. We have a couple guests today, and excited. We've got Dude Lift's going to be joining us here in a bit to talk briefly about the Doodles Mint, and nice collaboration there with a legacy artist, and or actually collabing with their estate, rather, as they're the artists themselves no longer with us. We've got, and then we'll do our Aaron and or Ernest from Unvault going to be joining us for a brief Inside the Vault segment, and Beezy hiring. So if you're in crypto, in Web3, and looking for a new opportunity or an opportunity in this space, go hit up Joey or Pratik or Andrea and let them know you're interested. I don't see roles posted yet. Maybe Joey can let us know, or maybe it's not public yet what roles, but great team, and one of the few crypto protocols that actually has real product market fit, real revenue, excuse me. And one that I think I'm going to double down on my take that graded cards are good ones, not all, but grails from Pokemon to sports cards and anything in between. I don't think the bubble is going to pop for a while. I think it's going to be up only because all BZ and all their competitors are just seeing such tremendous growth. It's hard to see things slowing down for the foreseeable future. And that once they buy a graded card, rarely does it enter the market again. It's in this somewhat of a perpetual loop that, they buy the card, they put it in a claw machine or something similar. Someone hits the grail, and most then just take the swap. Not all, but most take the swap. BZ buys it back and rinse repeat. And in some cases, people will hit the grail, they vault it, and then it stays. They're not, few are redeeming the card to then relist it on eBay or somewhere in the I don't know what you call it, the general market, I guess. But yeah, very excited. I wish I had a bigger bag of graded grails. Speaking of graded grails, well, not graded. Speaking of grails, I'm going to go grab the link right now. Our friend Dort was featured in the latest Good Vibes Club monthly Beacon of Light, it's called. You can mint it now on Manifold. It's a low of $40-ish, I think 0.02 ETH, and it's an open edition. They do these. They're live for 69 hours, so you still have some time left on that. I minted a couple yesterday. I might go back for some more. What I need to do is collect. I want to collect all those monthlies because just knowing this GVC team, I have a feeling that there could be something brewing there. But I pinned the mint link up top. That is the from the official Good Vibes account. The official mint link is in the first comment there. The champion of vibes, the one of only, Dort, the one of one there, had a chance to actually collaborate with Chris, the artist from Good Vibes Club, over the weekend, celebrating his birthday, quick trip to Puerto Rico. And I really appreciate how that team is moving and not just building in public, but building with their community and incorporating IP from not just holders, but real community members and real supporters, real brand ambassadors. And I think it's a great example. Speaking of Dort and Good Vibes Club, I also pinned up top his recent vibe coded site, goodvibesclub.world, the memory layer for GVC. They did a hackathon recently. You know what? I'll pull it up here. We'll brag on Dort a little bit. It's a birthday week for my guy, and deserving of the credit and recognition. Let me, I just pinned it up top. Let me pull it up on screen for those of you that are tuned in via video. Joey, appreciate you jumping up. We'll get to you here in a minute, and feel free to take it whichever direction you'd like. I know I'm bouncing around a little bit here in this morning's cold open, but a few of these things I didn't want to forget about before we get into news of the day and then our guests join us. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about actually for a Wednesday, a day where markets haven't been the greatest, but a lot of things to touch on, a lot of newsworthy stuff that's not all doom and gloom by any means. So taking it back to the post I was alluding to, the one I pinned up top, Dort said, I'm quoting Dort here, he says, lore, a 4-letter word usually takes 400 years of fake history I didn't ask for. Most of the time I've been smashing A to continue because I want to play the game ASP, but Good Vibes Club changed that for me. So I built goodvibesclub.world, the memory layer for GVC. The landing page here, every vibe remembered forever. Vibetown feels like a place I've been before. I have. The citizens feel like people I've met before too. It's fun, it's chill, it's weirdly alive, and I want to see more of it from you. This is my GVC hackathon entry, a platform of lore I can actually get behind. Every GVC holder can create a real lore profile for their characters. Connect your wallet, pick your token, and give your character a story, name, bio, occupation, faction, Vibetown location, image gallery, adventures. Basically bring the IP to life. Characters are only the start. You can document places and events too. A bar downtown, a beachside hangout, a battle that actually went down, or a collab night that deserves to be remembered. Vibetown should be a place, feel like a real place, and now it has a real archive. Anyone can publish lore, and the GVC team can elevate the best stuff to canon. Gold badge, lore score bump, and a permanent place in the world record. Not a fan fiction floating in the timeline void, but an actual Vibe Town history. And I've got clip there from Donnie Vibecheck. He also built an AI lore assistant called Loracle. For characters, it reads like an actual NFT art before it writes. Then it pulls live canon so it knows who exists, what places matter, what stories are already part of Vibe Town. That means your canon lore does not just sit there with a shiny badge. It shapes what the Loracle writes for everyone after you. If your character, place, or event becomes canon, it becomes part of the context the whole world builds on. Claude thought of that, and it's sick. Contributing earns lore score. Publishing gets you a point. Canon gets you more. Ranks go from junior lore keeper to keeper of vibes. No fake tokenomics, no forced game mechanic, just the world keeping score for actually who helped build it. When you publish lore, GVC badges get rain from the sky and bounce around with real physics. If DeJort's music is playing, they jump to the bass. Completely unnecessary, so obviously I had to do it. Original GVC World soundtrack 2, turn it on. I made it with Sono 5.5. Security matters, so the wallet connection is read-only. Delegated wallets are supported through delegate.xyz. So your GVC stays safe, always. Full breakdown here. And I'm really proud of this one. Go build your character, document a place, or log a night that mattered. If you want a full breakdown of why I built it, how it works with the memory layer, what the memory layer actually is, head to goodvibesclub.world/about. We build together, remember together. Last but not least, a special shout out to the entire crew at Good Vibes Club for giving us the tools to build, and for OpenSea for helping sponsor this entire thing. Y'all are building the right way and inspiring us to do the same. Now go break the site. I will fix it. And then I will share the actual site here. It's currently just launched this thing. 6 canon entries, 7 characters, 4 places, 1 event. You can see Lytton, Goldbridge, Vibe and Statum, Donnie Vibecheck, Paulo Paradosio, Mog Burgundy, Heisendort, the Champion of Vibes, the Headquarter, and Shaka Shack. Brothers 3 Pizzeria, Good Vibes and Chill, and Vibes, the Vibe Town Institute for Biological and Environmental Sciences. Love it. And there's also, I don't hear Frequency 69 from Jort, the DJ. I hope I don't get DMCA'd for that. Don't come at us. But really cool site. I love what you can do now with, I don't want to, not trying to short. Guy is very intelligent, very smart, a real world scientist helping fight the battle to cure cancer and doing really big things in the real world, but not a programmer, not a dev to my knowledge. So pretty good looking site. You would never know. Well, I wouldn't know that it's been mostly vibe coded here, and just love to see what you can do with technology. And this is also, I'm not trying to make this PvP. I'm not trying to, it's good vibes, right? It's not bashing those that dropped the ball or came before. But I've said it before, and this is, to me, it's a stark reminder of just the thought of, I wonder if things play out differently from the momentum that NFT Mania brought in 21-22, if the AI tools that exist today existed back then. In the sense, there was so many community-based projects, and one in particular that was near and dear to my heart, and now it's more like salt in the wound. But reading this GVC world and what Dort has built here, not dunking on them. I guess I am. It is what it is. But like what Dort just vibe coded, in my opinion, is as good or better than like the community storytelling tools we saw from brands like Tally Labs and Jenkins Ballet, which was a storytelling project, a community storytelling project. It's very hard to tell stories with thousands of individuals, but it helps if you provide tools.
Yeah, you could say Doodles too. Nobody will get mad if you say Doodles too.
I guess to some degree, but that wasn't necessarily Doodles' like core thing of what they were doing. If you're not familiar, Jenkins Ballet, they had a writer's room, and they ended up having a book written by a best-selling author, Neil Strauss. The book wasn't great. Very hard to try to create. In that case, there was 69 yachts in the collection. Each of those characters was featured in the book. So instead of having to feature hundreds of characters, they had featured 69. just wasn't great. And I don't know. I'm not blaming Neil, but I think part of it was someone who really, well, he came in and he talked to the community and he did incorporate some things. You know, my PFP was written about in the book. Couldn't tell you what he wrote about. Wasn't memorable. It felt forced. Whereas this is something built ground up from the community. And there's a lot of others that have had this component of create lore, add lore to your character, build upon the IP. I do believe we've seen probably, even though not all have built, successful, profitable, revenue generating brands, I do think we've seen more community lore building and building on top of the IP from the Bored Ape Yacht Club than probably any others. We've certainly seen, I shouldn't say certainly, I believe we've seen more brands built around that IP than any other NFT PFP collection. And I just, for again, specifically calling out Jenkins, because this was their whole thing. Like what I just read was like, it's what that project was largely about. And they did have some, like, you could log in and you could add lore to your character, but it wasn't as robust as what I just looked at from Dort that was vibe coded without the resources. And while there was a Vibetown hackathon, it paled in comparison to the millions of dollars that team brought in off mints and fundraising. So it's just like, again, I'm not trying to spin this as a negative. I'm not trying to dunk on brands or teams that are no longer here. But there was a lot of momentum on this front, and the infrastructure just wasn't quite there. Whether, again, not blaming the teams, but looking at the resources and tools that exist today that didn't exist, or if they did exist, they were not widely available. They were far more expensive. And I appreciate Dort, Good Vibes Club, and the others, that some legacy collections, legacy brands from 21, 22, others more of the newer collections, the newer communities. Good Vibes Club, a little over a year, been around for a little over a year now, while the team was building for 3+ years. For all intents and purposes, they minted, 14, 15 months ago, and it's a newer there's several others that have just minted here in 2026 that are building some momentum and building some real community. And I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic that we see more lean back into this, not just building in public, but building with the community, empowering the community. I know Good Vibes Club does a good job with, even something as simple as like AI prompts to, hey, replicate this. Here's how if you want to make one of these for yourself, here's an easy way to do it. Here's the exact here's the exact verbiage. Here's the exact prompt that we use to create this image, create this character. And yeah, again, I'm not trying to spin as negative. Please don't take this out of context, but it does make me wonder, what could have been and what can be if we see more crypto native, more Web3 brands lean back into this, leveraging the tools that exist today. Or maybe it's new brands that launch, that mint in July of 2026, but do so in a way that empowering the community, building with the community. And there's what does it mean? What comes to this? Is Dort going to monetize GVC world? I don't know. Probably not. But I don't think that's the goal. I think part of it's not a farm. It's not a financially driven motivation. I don't think. I don't want to speak for him. You're welcome to join us. No obligations. Oh, by the way, I know he's a busy guy with real world responsibilities, and I think often listens in as he's on the commute to the lab. But this concept, and it doesn't have to be a lore building website, but when you have passionate community members building on top of the IP, and whether it's a lore building site or it's a apparel brand or it's something completely different, just this is, I think, a great example of building together, building in public. And it did Good Vibes Club fan the flames by having a hackathon, getting OpenSea to sponsor it. Like, more of that. We saw so much of this in 21, 22. A lot of it, again, the tools, the resources weren't there to help assist. I think of like Clone X. Clone X, you saw a lot of incredible 3D generated content on the timeline because that community attracted a lot of great 3D artists and like hundreds of them. But not everyone's a talented 3D artist. Well, today you don't have to be. So I think of what I saw from like Clone X at their peak. There's really, I don't say there's no excuses. I know there's a cost to all this stuff, but the barrier to do this sort of stuff is so much lower than it was. Like you almost had to be a 3D artist to do, or pay someone to do this back in 21, 22. Now you don't. Now it's maybe a $20 AI subscription, or maybe it's a couple of, $20 AI months or $20 a month AI subscriptions. It's just this, it's also making me think, it's inspiring me to think, okay, how does this expand beyond Web3 native or NFT PFP communities? How do we see this infiltrate every other brands outside of crypto? And do you need crypto rails to do this sort of stuff? No, but I still think there's something special here when it comes to standing up or launching or growing a vested grassroots community of people who are genuinely passionate about helping build the brand, helping scale the brand. I think back to, Rec Drinks launching their energy drink. They've got a lot of rabid fans out there sharing gifs and images and just simply posts on the timeline. And yes, they just launched an affiliate program. That was all taking place well before the affiliate program. I think that affiliate program is just another example of helping fan the flames. They've identified something. Hey, we've got a lot of people that are passionate about us. They're talking about our brand. They're sharing our brand. And in addition to giving them I might have lost my card that I show off every time we talk about it. In addition to giving the customers a card, they can scan a QR code and get their rec coin. Now they're providing not just tools, but an incentive for those passionate members to continue to talk about, continue to share the brand, continue to be a net promoter. It's just really powerful stuff. And there's something here when it comes to building a startup brand, building new IP. We just talked about earlier this week how the masses are seemingly now not only open and receptive to new stories, to new IP, but they're craving it. When you see the success that these horror movies that were created by YouTubers are having at the box office, like there's been this, I think, this societal shift that while the masses are talking about these 20-year-olds having these blockbuster, mega hits, I don't know as if I've seen many talking about the societal shift and why behind we're seeing this happen. And how I think that due to these tools, there's this opportunity for more and more of it to happen beyond just horror movies, beyond just YouTubers. And yeah, I do think there's this potentially some sort of intersection here where maybe you can't quite yet launch an NFT collection and say, hey, I'm going to give you all equity, or you're all going to get 10% of the revenue we generate in perpetuity. You can't sell an illegal security today. There's ways to do it. You just can't market it as such. I think beyond any sort of rev share or profit share mechanism, this entire concept of whether, it's some sort of combination of shared IP, shared storytelling, and oh, by the way, then what we just saw Rec launch with this affiliate program, it's like tapping into the direct sales, network marketing, multi-level marketing. And again, I know that invokes some negative emotion for some, but I come from the world where I personally know maybe dozens of personal friends who have accumulated millions of dollars of wealth and they've become millionaires in those industries. So it's not because they were at the top of the pyramid. It's because they got passionate about something and they shared a story and they inspired many others to do something similar. all coming back down to good product, like real product, not some Ponzi scheme, but selling some real product. Like I said, it's no exaggeration, it's no joke. This is my daily go-to pre-workout. It's a real product. They found product market fit. And now instead of, and I think this is also, I know I'm kind of bouncing around here, but we think about the workforce changing and AI changing how things are structured, and businesses no longer needing tens of thousands of employees to build $1 billion business. I think part of it is finding ways to work with other independents, other freelancers. There's a new, and maybe it's not a fully blown out new business model, but I think pieces of all these different models that have been successful in the past now can be fueled like into hyperdrive because of the tools and resources that both blockchain tech and AI has opened up. And yeah, I remain very optimistic we're going to see more and more of it. And while we've seen pieces pulled together, I don't know as if we've seen like, what does that next model, and maybe there's not just one model, maybe it is just a combination of all these things. But I do think from a bootstrap startup mode and building a brand new IP, whether it's a energy drink or a Hollywood blockbuster, I think there's something here. And in the fact that not just the tools that AI can help accelerate, but what blockchain tech can unlock, and from fandom to collaboration and feeling as you're a vested part of the set of the brand that's being built. And while you may not own equity in the brand, as collectibles continue to go through this growth phase, holding even a single collectible in a brand that grows like that, I think I still can see the path towards value accrual and appreciation for years to come. I see we got Joey and Bosu Kev on stage. I appreciate your gentlemen's patience. Joey, GM, take it. I know I hit on a lot of things there. Take it whichever direction you'd like.
GM, buddy. Yeah, I agree with so much of what you said, but I came up initially when you were talking about some of the stuff going on at BZ, and I just want to share real quick. So we are seeing a monster, like a just absolutely monstrous spike in redemptions. And
oh, really? So when you say redemptions, like people actually, hey, mail me the slab.
Correct. Yep.
Interesting.
And it's interesting because obviously, like you mentioned, the loop, right? And this is the same loop that PSA and GameStop has created, which is, the loop is you come in, you play the claw, you hit on big cards or you hit on medium cards, whatever it is, you swap, you keep playing, right? Like, and that's the loop, right? Like GameStop has created this with PSA being a great, so people don't know, you can drop your cards off at GameStop. They'll then send them in for grading. PSA will then grade them. They'll then go in a PSA vault. PSA will then offer you money for those cards. And then PSA will then list those cards for sale. But now because of this new GameStop power packs, they're actually putting them in. So they've created their own little loop of how this works. And but it's actually not we're not excited about this though, because this shows that we have a community of real collectors, right? If nobody was redeeming, it shows two things. Number one, if nobody was redeeming, that means we don't really have a community of collectors, and we've just basically built a community of quote unquote gamblers, right?
Gamblers and farmers.
Playing the machine for the sake of playing the machine, right?
Yep.
Chasing points and all that stuff like that. And that's not a bad thing either, right? You need those people. But we're and this goes back to, and I'm going to tie it back to what you're talking about GVC too, right? Is that if you build a community the right way, then you're going to build longevity and build success, right? And that's what GVC did initially. They built a community around collectors, right? There was no mention of beaming your NFTs to space or winning a spot on a rocket ship or token this and there was none of that stuff, right? It launched as good vibes, really cool art, be a collector. We have these cool badges, right? Show off how much you collect. and they built a community of collectors. And that's what we feel like we've built at Beezy, is we built a community of collectors. So number one, it reinforces that. And number two, it means we're buying really cool shit, right? Like the biggest complaint you hear from people when it comes to opening packs or paying money to join a break on a Whatnot stream is that they don't get anything they want. They spend all this money opening up booster boxes and ETBs or buying into a Whatnot stream, and they just get a bunch of bulk shit.
Hey, explain Whatnot, but explain buying into a Whatnot stream to me. What do you like? I think I understand what Whatnot is, but what do you mean by buying into a stream?
So like there are people on Whatnot, on eBay Live, on Fanatics Live that they'll have a character, they'll call it like a player break or a character break, whatever you want. So you'll buy a spot. So let's say you buy the Gengar spot, and the Gengar spot might cost you $150. And the only Gengar you hit is like some base Gengar that's worth like $1, right? Or same with sports. You enter a team break and you buy the Los Angeles Lakers, and the only card that comes out is like a base.
So when you say buying into a stream, when you say buying into a stream, it's essentially like buying into a card break.
Correct. You're buying into the break, and you're hoping that when you buy the Lakers for $250, you hit like a LeBron auto, or you hit like you're hoping you hit a big card. But a lot of times, the overwhelming majority of the time, you don't hit those things, right? So what we try to do is we try to curate cards that people actually want, even if they're base cards, right? So even if they're the lower tier, the $50, the $100, the $200 cards, we're constantly trying to buy cards that people actually want. So it proves the model of, number one, we built a community of collectors because they're redeeming the cards. And number two, we're buying stuff that people actually want versus just filling these machines with bullshit for the sake of, playing the claw machine. Like I just went out this weekend and bought 68, 69, plus picked up another like 10. So like around like 80 cards I picked up this weekend that are going to be going into our claw machines. And yes, they're like, some of them are lower tier, like 150 to 250, but I picked up really popular One Piece cards and really popular Pokemon cards. So even though they're not the quote unquote chase cards, I picked up cards that people actually want. So that's something that we try to do all the time. You're not going to obviously please everybody, but it's, again, tying it back to GVC, our focus from the beginning has always been the community, get the community what they want, build for the community. And I think GVC has done that as well. And that's why you're seeing the success you're seeing from them as well as us.
Yeah, no, good take. I agree. Related, I think one in a million who often listens to the podcast recording, not able to join us live, but tuned in today, can't jump up on stage, but does have a genuine question. Why do you guys think NBA Top Shot failed? I feel like if someone does the same concept well, there's a massive market for it with a huge uptick in collectible space. I agree. I don't know exactly why Top Shot failed.
I have an opinion on that.
I'm curious why, or what yours is, because I think we're seeing it right now with Panini. The Panini's collectibles is like leapfrogged Top Shot. The Panini's digital collectibles, we're seeing now multiple 6-figure Panini NFT sales from Wimby and others, and it's just basically it's a digital card instead of a video moment. I don't think that maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe they failed because they went the video route as opposed to something that was closer to the collectibles that everyone knows and loves and has the multi-billion-dollar market already. Maybe it's a different outcome if instead of video gifts, it was a digital card. I don't think it's that simple. There's probably a lot of reasons. Maybe supply, maybe not doing an airdrop sooner than later, maybe not rewarding their loyalist holders. I mean, I think of a lot of reasons. I mean, they touted at one point that Cool Cat set, one of their first sets, and if you completed it, that was you're in the inner circle and you were at the table. I don't think I ever got anything from that. Maybe I got one of those. I can't remember the name of the brand. The digital frames, basically, that I've got it in here somewhere. That basically just loop through those 30 cool cap moments. Thanks. It just, but then they just stopped. Like I think they had a great idea early to that, great concept, collectible space. They has boomed. I just think that they didn't lean enough into the crypto element, the community element, the building in public element. And a lot of companies, most companies, all companies make mistakes and things they would do differently in hindsight. It's a good question. I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm not saying failed in terms of floor price or volume. I think they failed relative to others in the space. Like there's probably some alternate timeline somewhere where they're exploding right now because they did things slightly differently and they kept a rabid fan base, and then they started participating in this area that BZ and others are participating in the collectible space. I think maybe that's it. Is it they just got, yes, early, great concept, but maybe too far away from what was already known and having success in the market off chain. Like, I don't really think it's as simple as saying just because they went videos instead of cards, digital cards. But yeah, Joey, I'm curious. Kevin, we'll get you in here in a second. But Joey, why do you think Top Shot failed? And do you think do you agree with me? Is Panini digital cards seeing this success, capitalizing on that market, or unrelated?
Yeah, so a couple things. So I agree they were probably incredibly early, and being early is not always the best, right? Like it's hard, right? Like and they did some amazing things. So I think they were definitely super early. And I don't know if we could say they weren't successful. I think they're extremely successful. It's just looking at where they are now and where we think they could have gotten to based on how much success they had, I think is what people, right, are looking at. But I think they were probably too early. And then what ended up happening was a lot of people parlayed all of the money they made on Top Shot into getting, into the more traditional PFP NFTs. So a lot of the money left that platform and then went into buying apes and doodles and moonbirds and, right, like all these other things that people saw were going to take off. And so now they're competing with all these other NFT PFPs. And then I think they also just didn't iterate, right? Like they didn't come up with new and exciting things outside of the same, which was just these moments. And then I do agree with your take on the Panini thing, and that collectors, it's very hard to convince a collector to do something different. Like even from the fact, like I own two Wemby rookies. They're image variation rookies, so they're horizontal instead of vertical. One's numbered to 75, one's numbered to 99. They're sick looking cards. I can't tell you how many people came up to the table and looked at those cards and was like, man, those things are so cool. They look so good, but I'll never buy them because they're horizontal. Like, and that's a traditional trading card, but collectors want, like, convincing them to do something different than what they're used to is really hard. So Panini going with the idea of a digital trading card and it actually looking like a trading card was really smart, because you're not changing the collecting behavior of the collectors. So, and that's a lot of times that's the struggle with some of these other big cards too, like Kabooms, they come in vertical and horizontal. The verticals do more than the horizontals, even though the horizontals are rarer than the verticals. Because people don't want to look at their card like, quote unquote, upside down, right? Like when a card, and that's part of also the problem with grading, right? Like when PSA grades a horizontal card, they don't change the the grading label so that way the card can be displayed horizontally with the grading, you know, in a specific way. It's still displayed the exact same way as if you were going to grade the card vertically. So from an aesthetics point of view, the horizontal cards, people just don't, they're less, even though they're rarer and they should be more expensive, they're not as desirable because of that horizontal. And I should have known that I even have like a Paul Skeens one, and somebody will buy them at some point, right? But I would say moving forward, I probably will never buy another horizontal card for the business because of that feedback that I've been getting. And that's what I think is the problem with Top Shot is they never really onboarded the actual collector community, right? Like people that that are here to collect. I think they onboarded a lot of people that saw something really cool and saw an opportunity to make money. And again, now Panini is thriving because they went more traditional.
Yes, I also think that. I mean, so I'm trying to dissect Top Shot and everything they did wrong, but I agree with One in a Million. One of the things about Top Shot that let down was like a card where a card where some guy I've never heard of just doing some lane pass. It wasn't actual sick moments. And I agree. I think I'd actually go as further and say most of the moments were just blah. You know, it's just like execution matters. You can have a great idea, a great concept. You still need to execute and evolve quickly. And why we're saying Top Shot failed Diablito is there.
Yeah, but everything
it's not about price. He's saying, yeah,
right? Like every moment can't be LeBron James.
Oh, I get that. I get that. And I think this is also why maybe the better path would have been static cards as opposed to moments. It's easier to execute. LeBron is LeBron, but the LeBron blah assist is like, oh, no one wants that.
I would agree there, right? I would agree there. Like,
instead you got a Wemby massive block or posterizing Chet. Like, yeah, that'd be cool, but a Wemby, just blah assist, like no one, it's just not going to hold up. And when I'm talking about, it's not a floor price thing. Yeah, apes are down in floor price. So are all NFTs, PFPs from 2021, 2022. Apes are still relevant. They're still very much in the timeline. There's almost something every day trending coming out of the Bored Ape Yacht Club on crypto Twitter. Even for those that, and often it crosses over to where it's outside of just the core community. I don't see very few people talking about Top Shot. The volume, it's not just price down, volume and relevance is down. And
I think flow has to do with that too.
Maybe.
And I mean that in the nicest way possible. As somebody who was building on flow, I think being on flow definitely has an impact on that as well versus them being on a imagine if they were on Solana. Imagine if Top Shot was on Solana, which is like the degen chain of degens where people would just go ham. I mean, they'd have to probably announce some type of token or something to be successful on Solana. But like, I think flow is part of the problem for Top Shot.
Yeah, probably some. But it's just like if you talk about like, oh, they're down. Well, Top Shot has effectively been flipped. Like in the digital sports collectible, they were it. They were apes and CryptoPunks combined, and now they're maybe second. They might not even be second, but they've been flipped by Panini. Whereas almost every day, not every single day, but most days, Bored Ape Yacht Club is still tops in daily volume. If not number one, they're 2 or 3. They're almost always top 5, and if they're not 1 or 2, it's because there was some newer collection. I mean, just they've done 228 ETH in volume in the last day. Pudgy's done 143 ETH. CryptoPunks have done 100 ETH. Mutants have done 45 ETH. So it's not just our apes. This is their volume number 1. Mutants is number 5, and that's not an anomaly. That is the norm. It's the exception if that's not the case. Top Shot has lost all the motion that they had. They've lost all the momentum that they had built, and I don't know where they go from here. Like the future's still bright for. I mean, I speak for myself. I'm still really excited about the clubhouse and the club. I still hold a massive bag of Top Shot, and I'm not optimistic for the future at all. Bosu Kev, appreciate your patience. GM, I know we jumped around a little bit, hit on several different topics already, but feel free to take it whichever direction you like. What brought you up this morning, Kev?
GM, Joey, Captain, nice seeing you guys. Yeah, I was listening in a bit earlier about the co-creation and AI, and yeah, it spoke to me. I was actually in the middle of writing an article about this, so it was like spot on, and I wanted to touch a bit on it. Yeah, it's actually an incredible timing between blockchain, NFTs, Web3 culture, and AI. Like, I think the combination between those is what could actually make it all real and make it actually happen, like this whole co-creation promise. And yeah, there was one thing about Final Boss I wanted to share specifically, because we've been working on a product, on a platform for the last couple of months. What is yeah, definitely has the collector side to it, but more so is a co-creation tool for our community. And it's really the right timing for us, because we've been working for a while on story, on building out the universe, getting all the world rules in place. And now that we have that, yeah, we constantly get the questions of the community, right? Like, hey, we've got all of these characters, we own them, we have the licensing rights to them. You know, a lot of them are creating short animations, posting them. They're learning more and more about AI, and I see them becoming better and better in it as well. What's really cool to see. So they're essentially bringing their characters to life. And now the big question is, like, how do we integrate this? Because as a franchise, I think like the core of the franchise is story, it's the world building. Normally franchises are very closed off, and we're trying to open that up and kind of, while we're building it, co-creating it with the community. And so, you know, maybe there's somebody that has a character, gives it a name, creates a story around it, and then later finds out, there's no animals in this world, right? And it's like, oh, okay, now I need to change my story. And so the question is, like, how do we do all of it at the same time, right? And so I think that is really, it's a new way of basically building franchises, and this platform that we're going to launch allows our holders to actually bring the characters to life, right? You log in, you give your character a name, you give it a bio, you can co-create around traits that others also have. You can remix, right? And then you go to the homepage and you see a short animation where your character suddenly shows up because the team has worked on that. And that is also very possible because of AI, because things are speeding up so fast, and the production time, the cost goes down, and it all kind of integrates with each other. And so, yeah, I really love that idea. I love what Good Vibes did as well with, yeah, empowering the community. For us, so it's so much about story, because ultimately, if you can create a 5 or 10 minute episode that actually captures the hearts of, you know, the broader audience, and yeah, you get all kind of filmmakers that are coming in that are like, hey, I love this brand, I'll purchase a character, you know, I'll do it together with my brother who's also a writer. We'll purchase 2 characters and we create a short story around it, and then, you know, we start an Instagram page. Like, that actually becomes real, because Harry Potter already has fan movies, Marvel already has fan movies, and obviously those are established franchises that have that level of fandom where, you know, not nearly close to that.
Do you, question on that, if I could interject, do you see a
course.
world or future where, you know, I think of, like, you mentioned Marvel or Star Wars, some of these major, you know, major, most successful franchises, most successful IP in the history of the world. Do you ever see a world where they actually support the fan spinoffs? Like there was some AI Stormtrooper stuff that took off early in the days of, you know, once video AI, and it was very popular, and I think they ended up getting a DMCA because it was like, hey, we don't authorize this, we haven't licensed this IP to you. Do you ever see a world where not they don't, you know, DMCA them, but actually support it and build some model where, like we talked about here in crypto and NFTs, of building with their fans, like a world where the next Hollywood blockbuster isn't some horror movie from a YouTuber, rather it's the biggest Star Wars fan that has a huge YouTube following, and they create their own movie with the Star Wars IP. And maybe Star Wars isn't the best example, but something like that. Do you ever see these major established franchises leaning into fandom and allowing their fans to build with the IP?
Not sure. my first
They're gonna
thought,
have to, Kev. They're gonna have to eventually because of
Yeah, if the
of the
benefits
business model
outweigh
we're
it.
proving, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's where my mind directly goes. Like, okay, what's the actual benefit of it, right? Like, is there a business model for them that works, and or becomes community so important, right? That that you want to have that layer as well. But I do think over time, as
Are we
as
are
the
we
world
talking
is
about
shifting-
like are we talking about fans using like AI to create like a what Darth Maul, like what happened to Darth Maul after he was
Yes.
sliced in half, right? Like,
Yeah, spinoff.
are we
It doesn't
talking
even have
about
to be
like that?
AI. Like, I mean, you're going to have more individuals would be capable of it if it's AI, but it doesn't, I'm not even saying it has to be AI. It could be
correct.
someone just builds and adds, creates a spinoff. Like someone like you've seen stuff like, here's an alternate ending to the Game of Thrones. Like,
I mean, I would see them. I don't know if they would ever use the stuff that fans create, but I could see fans using AI or using their talents to create stuff, putting it out on YouTube, it going viral, and then them reaching out to those individuals and saying like, "Hey, you're clearly very talented.
Let's work together.
We would love to bring you onto the team or whatever." But I don't know if I could ever see like a Star Wars or a Harry Potter like using fan created stuff instead of what they're creating. But I could see people getting jobs this way for sure.
I mean, they almost already did, right? Like, so GPT and Disney had already had MOU, and they were about to run a whole platform that was fan created Disney with Disney trained AI, and there was so much blowback, and the AI wasn't really ready yet. So I mean, I think that largely, IP holders like Disney, they don't have an option anymore. There's going to be so much competition, business models that are popping up like, Bosu. I mean, the real crux of the issue is the IP, right? And this is something that we've been talking about the last few days is that people are pretty ready for, fresh IP out there. But and I think that this is what's going to, draw it to a head, right? Is if established IPs, old IPs want to remain relevant, they're going to see the indie creator as the next step.
I think so. I think it's also, like I saw them going back a little bit here in the chat, but Mike Campbell added a little bit ago, more than 50% of the businesses that were surveyed regret letting employees go and replacing them with AI. Microsoft actually reportedly stopped letting their engineers use AI due to the cost. I think we're seeing such a shakeup in corporate America, in big business, and whether it's big businesses restructuring or it's startups going and competing in this world, I think this idea of working with people that's not a traditional W-2 employee, I just think we're going to see more and more and more of this. And I think that it's not going to be all, but I think it's very likely that we see some of these big franchises, instead of instantly sending their attorneys after someone when they see a fan create something cool, I could see that completely going the other direction, and then reaching out to them. Hey, can we work together? Let's collaborate. We see you're passionate. We see you've got talent. Let's help you produce, take this from a short into, a series or a full feature length movie. Zane was adding in the chat, there has been spinoffs, and he entered too soon, so he's going to come back in a minute. But and then Blockmage adds, the guy started as a fan making Lego movies. The Lego movie is the only one that comes by. I did not realize the Lego movie was made by a fan. That's cool. I think so. I guess the answer to my question is yes, we're already seeing it. I think you just naturally, as things move forward and you play this out, I think it's likely, if not highly likely, that we're going to continue to see more and more and more of this co-collaboration with passionate fans, as opposed to, oh, let's go hire a whole new division to build this next series, to build this next spinoff. Rather, let's crowdsource it. It's far less risk, this whole like, oh, do we lay employees off? Like, I think there's going to be a big shift in quote unquote employment, and a lot more collaboration in working with real fans that maybe previously they thought they viewed as a threat or they were grifting off our IP. Now I think the mindset may change to, hey, it's a great opportunity. We've identified a great hire and we don't have to hire him. Let's just go work with him. We'll collaborate on the next Lego movie, for instance. Go ahead, Kev, get back in here.
Yeah, I think actually YouTube also is a very good example already as well, right? How that kind of took the power from, the big corporations and filmmakers and Hollywood to like the individual creator. Like anybody can go on YouTube, create videos, do it well, build up an audience, and then monetize that. YouTube makes money. That's the ultimate business model of. It's almost like a decentralization of attention and storytelling. And so, what if that same thing applies then to, a Marvel or Harry Potter, where anybody can go in and create? And if you're talented enough and you create something really good that captures the hearts and minds of people, why wouldn't the brand ultimately collaborate with you? But there are so many cases as well that it's like Harry Potter. There was also a fun movie that did pretty well, got a lot of attention, and then got sued and had to stop. And so, like that is also how the world has worked. But I think that's also what's so beautiful about Web3 culture, because the whole idea of NFTs, it's not just NFTs. It's actually, if I look at our community, it's all genuine people that show up in the night in the VCs, talk with each other. It's like fans, right? Like of the brand already, but now they own a character inside of it that they can create around. And I think that whole culture needs to like expand and be proven. And then over time, I think with capturing enough attention and noise, the mindset will shift and it will feel like almost a new way of doing things. And so I think that then the bigger corporations will also shift.
Yeah, it used to be like the expense used to be a moat, right? Particularly when it came to like Marvel, CGI, all these things. That no longer exists. You can have great storytelling, which we're seeing, right, with low cost that we've been talking about the last couple of days. But the tools are democratizing something that is, it can be absolutely, amazing visually as long as you tie in the story. And it's that's the real deconstruction of the tools of creation. And then obviously like the decentralization of, the idea, the IP, that creates the ability of you have a much broader network of creativity working on an IP. It diversifies risk. So whatever gains a little bit of traction in that decentralized model, you can double down, double tap, and sort of create further from that kernel of energy, right?
Yep. I do want to get Mason in here, and then we got our first special guest of the day waiting in the green room. So we'll get to Mason. Before I go to Mason, though, Diablito asked some good questions. I want to share some data here because I don't want you to think I'm just making stuff up. I did share, we were talking about how Panini sports cards has flipped Top Shot in a big way. In the last month, they've had 37 sales. Panini blockchains had 37 sales of over 10K, 5 ETH or more. 4 over 100K, 7 over 40K, 11 over 25K, 18 over 15K, 28 over 12K, and 33 to 11K. Among those, 18 kabams, 15 prism parallels, 25 golds of 10, and 6 one of ones. Pretty impressive. So then he asked, I wonder how many.
Wait, did you say kabam?
Kaboom. Excuse me.
Kaboom.
And then he asked how many. He wonders how many Top Shot has had in the last 30 days. Looks like 2. I just pulled from Crypto Slam. They had a $16,000 sale and a $10,000 sale. So it's like, and they're just dwarfing them in daily volume. It's wild to me. I don't even know how it happened. I have to think it's part of it is it's happening because the moment that physical collectibles are having, and I think this one that was sold for 16K was sold at a $10,000 loss. They bought it for 26K 2 years ago. They sold it for 16K. I think almost every one of those Panini cards that were sold, I don't know this for a fact, I believe most of those Panini cards that were sold for over 10K were all big time in the profits. So it's like, I'm not just saying it all because sentiment, or I don't see anyone talking about Top Shot on the timeline. I see a lot of people talking about Panini. Like the data supports it. It's a real flippening, and still kind of hard. Like, it's not hard for me to see why or how Top Shot lost their motion. it's harder for me to see how Panini gained this seemingly out of nowhere. They've had this explosion in volume and big sales, and I think it is partially to do with the traditional collectible space, the gotcha mechanics. In fact, it makes me wonder. I wonder if we'll see the Beezies of the world incorporate not just the physical collectibles into their claw machines and gotchas. I wonder if we maybe see Panini enter that realm as well, or brands like Beezy bring in some of these digital assets from Panini. It's just, and Panini is an established brand in the collectible space, more so than, at least longer history than Top Shot, and we've seen, with the NBA playoffs and the finals and this popularity growth of Wimby, we've seen a spike in basketball collectibles. So I guess all that makes sense, but it is, if you would have asked me, I wouldn't have guessed Panini sold so many, and I probably would have guessed Top Shot sold so few, but it's pretty stark difference. And just like, it's a good, if anyone's like a business case study nerd, I think this would be a great one to do a deep dive on, is the parallels of NBA Top Shot versus Panini blockchain. And while Joey, you probably some merit in the whole, it's on Flow, these Panini cards are selling on Panini blockchain. Like that doesn't, like, I don't think Panini blockchain is getting a lot of people excited or help or adding to that volume or adding to the success. I think I don't know if people really care so much what chain something's on, as long as it's a good product. You might get more new eyeballs, but I don't think it's necessarily a detraction today as it once was. Mike, always enjoy hearing from you. GM, wait, did we go to Mason yet?
Hey,
GM. I saw the hand, and then I was going to go to Mike. Mike, you're on deck. We'll go to Mason, and appreciate your patience. So we'll go to Mason, Mike, and then we'll bring Ernest in behind the scenes.
Cool. I don't mean to bring the topic back, because I know
we're
back on cards, but I just wanted to say that I think I agree with a lot of everything that has been said, but I also think there's a lot of nuances to it as well. Like, for instance, I think Hollywood or big studio IPs will take a good idea from anywhere, and there's already big examples of quote unquote fans that have been turned into that. Like, Star Wars has Rogue One, that was pitched by a fan.
I didn't know this.
Got greenlit.
Interesting. I did not know.
Granted, he had pull. He's one of the creators of Photoshop, but he was a fan and he approached Disney as a fan. And so I think that, like, Kev had a really good point, that YouTube has made it a lot easier. It's like a talent search, right? And Joey kind of pointed this out too, that we're already seeing, the bigger studios start to go and poach different sources of content, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. There's all these different creators out there now. But I do think that, no matter what, the way that, like, these are empires, especially when we're talking about like a Disney, which owns Marvel and all the things that we're talking about. Like, they are empires, and they have so much just like overhead that if and when they incorporate any type of like community or all of that, it is going to be like the most just sterile thing in a way, just because of all the loopholes that they have to get through. Like, I could see one day there being a section in the Disney Channel app or whatever that is like fan generated content that they've approved of, that they've gotten through. But I don't really see people like making all that much money on it, just because like I've been in that Disney sphere before, and I understand how that corporation like views things. And so I also think that from an industry standpoint, sure, like, AI generated content is going to continue to get better. Right now you can make cool animations and things like that, but making like a real live action, something that doesn't feel AI, we're still not there yet. You still need real people and things like that. And I think with this technology, we're also going to see this industry kind of fall apart, and it's not going to go smoothly. Like, they are going to go kicking and screaming, because Hollywood is one of the most unionized, industries. Like, every part of a movie is unionized, from the writers to the actors to the grips to the electricians and all of these people. And a lot of this work happens to be more on like a blue collar level. And so I think when you start to talk about obsession and you start to talk about some of these other horror movies, you have to look at it from a standpoint of what they did really well. And Ilan pointed this out, was they used a low budget. And we have to get back to using less resources to tell good stories, which again, I think these tools are really going to help. But with that is also going to come kind of like the destruction of this giant tower that Hollywood has kind of like built itself. And it's going to be like, it's going to be weird. It's going to be destabilizing in a weird way. And so I do think that a lot of you are right and correct in terms of there's going to be opportunity for the everyday person, the two brothers that are super, creative and inspired to go and create. I think there are going to be opportunities like that, but I don't think that we're ever going to see like Disney, have like a community Discord where you could go in and bitch about, this episode or that episode.
Yeah, I think, but why not? Why not? Like I think about, like I'm not as deep in the Disney world, but I think of like Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones, I was really into it. Like that was a appointment television, and there's like podcasts would take off. There'd be very popular podcasts. People wanted to talk about it and expand and unpack it and speculate a little bit about what was this, what does this mean? I mean, so much so like people had a full breakdown of like the intros, like the intro, just what all that everything meant and the blood flowing here. Like people really cared to talk about it and expand beyond what they were seeing on TV. So why not have a Discord where you can share fan theories, and why don't they want to bring the community together in a cohesive environment?
I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I just don't ever see that happening given how rigid the structures are. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
again, you've heard that conversation of like too many cooks in the kitchen and all of that. There's so much fear because there's so much risk involved with the amount of money that goes into making a show like Game of Thrones. I could only imagine Game of Thrones on a weekly basis, like their payroll was probably somewhere between $2 and $5 million a week. And so like when you're starting to talk on that scale, I just think it's like a whole nother conversation. You know what I mean? It's not, it could change if everything becomes AI generated and we're just throwing actors' faces into stuff. It could completely change, and that could be there. I just think that with the amount of money and the way that Hollywood or production in itself has been set up, it's going to be a hard thing to let go of.
I agree. You're right. And the one thing we have, you got lawyers. The lawyers are just going to tell them you stand to you're risking more. You stand to lose more than you could potentially gain from this. I just think that's the way it has been way of thinking. I think that is similar to the analogy of Kodak inventing the digital camera and not going to market with it because they didn't want to disrupt their existing business, or Blockbuster having the chance to buy Netflix. Like, nope, we don't want to do that. We don't need to do that. We're Blockbuster. Like the more we talk through this, the more we see these examples of success. I'm convinced that Hollywood, like we are in the process of Hollywood being disrupted. I think the former model is being disrupted in real time. And I think we are going to recognize it a lot quicker than the big studios, who are going to be like, nah, it's just a blip in the map. And many of them will probably delay or wait too long until they finally come to grips with it. But I think you're right. It's probably much more likely newer IP, startup IP, as opposed to these billion-dollar franchises that it's just too risky.
Yeah, 100%.
Mike, I know you know a thing or two. Thanks, Mason. Great to hear from you. Appreciate the thoughts. And as I mentioned, our friend Dort, he's featured in the May edition of the Vibetown High Key Moments. Beacon of Light, it's called. It's pinned up top. It's open for 69 hours in total, so another 48 or so to go. Mint price is just 0.02 ETH, and go collect some good art, support a good friend. But we're going to get Mike Campbell in here, and then we'll bring Ernest into the conversation. Mike, I know you know a thing or two about Hollywood. Thoughts on this conversation this morning?
Yeah, a little bit. Not too deep though. But just to add on to what Mason was talking about, I mean, as an actor, we and writer and stuff, we struck over AI. That was a huge deal. The studios want to try to replace the creatives in this process, and just use our images without actually paying us for them, and that kind of thing. So the main point is these big giant movies, Star Wars, things like that, they're called tent poles at the studios. They keep the lights on for the year, right? That summer blockbuster that you go to, that they open on 1,000, 3,000 screens nationwide and then go worldwide, make hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in those first few weeks. That's what keeps the studio open all year. So when they went to the blockbuster format, that's the business model now. So I've had friends for years who have made, Star Wars fan films and gone to festivals and stuff, and just had fun with it. And they actually do support that stuff. But the thing that they're not going to support is somebody taking over the characters, the IP, that kind of thing, because those movies pay their bills and allows other people to do other things. Um, there was something else I wanted to say too, and I'm sure I'll get to it, but that was the main point. Oh yeah, the other thing with the IP stuff, right? Protecting it. I mean, Board Ape went through that, right, with Ryder Rips and stuff.
Yep.
It's the same kind of thing, only it's a much bigger scale.
Yeah, it goes both ways. For every fan art that builds with the IP in a positive way because they love the IP, once you start opening up, and that's when the attorneys come in and say there's too much risk here, is for every one that does like that, you could have another that is making, pornographic material out of your beloved IP. It's just like making racist material out of your IP. Like you gotta, and while I'm not an IP attorney, you have to have some sort of system, some sort of structure, because if you don't protect your IP, you lose that protection, is my understanding. Like you need to defend your copyrights, your IP. Otherwise, if you're letting one person use it, another person can use it as well. So there's got to be some sort of systematic way to do this. And it's interesting to hear, like I wasn't aware of so many fandom or fan supported projects that were supported by the big franchises. That's interesting to me. And I think makes me even more optimistic that we very well could see more of this as we move forward. I know we've got hands. We'll come back to it. You don't have to go anywhere, but we've got another guest joining us at the bottom of the hour. So I want to make sure we give Ernest proper time here. Web3 Warhead. I'll come back to this thought here in a bit as well. And if we don't get to Candy Digital today, kind of an evergreen topic, we will, I should get Tad on here and for a full sit down interview at some point in the future. He was asking what we thought about them moving to, he acquired Candy Digital, moving to Solana, and Candy has the rights to Major League Baseball and DC Comics. I think very interesting. But let's do this. Let's do a proper play-in. We'll continue talking about IP and more with our first special guest of the day. This is Inside the Vault, brought to you by the one and only Unvault. We'll be right back on the other side of this break.
Yo, inside the vault, put royalties back on chain. Enforcement went optional, we bringing it back again. Freeze it at the source, then you move it with ease. Claim it where you land, one live, no duplicate keys. No rappers, no doubles, identity stays intact. Clean ownership trail, royalties paid, that's a fact. No, one live, no duplicate keys.
Welcome to the show, Ernest. Always a pleasure. And I know you gotta, I don't think I heard all that conversation, but got a part of it there. I'm not just blowing smoke because we have you on the screen. But as I was listening to the intro play in there, I do think there's a world where Unvault not only could help existing NFT brands protect royalties and go multi-chain and all the features that you're unlocking with Unvault when it goes live here. I don't know. Maybe there's a world where Unvault is part of the solution for traditional IP for these, maybe not the Star Wars and Game of Thrones of the world, but some of these existing franchises, existing IP, looking for ways to come on chain and build this community. Like I said to Mason, like why wouldn't Game of Thrones want to have a community Discord where fans can share fan theories and communicate? And I know Game of Thrones launched an NFT collection. it was just, I could think that's a great example of one that did it very, very poorly. Because it wasn't just, was it awful art, top 10 probably of all time that we saw from, a big brand entering the space. I'll grab some pictures if you missed it. I'll pull those up here in a second. But it just like I don't know. I think working with good advisors, consultants, protocols like Unvault that been in the space can help guide them. And I don't know, your thoughts on, feel free to take whichever direction you'd like. We'll get into the Unvault updates here in a second, but thoughts on that conversation and just this idea of co-creation with fans.
Yeah, I mean, blockchain gives us the ability to co-create and share royalties. It's a non. I mean, it's so easy, and what we've done with the divot and sharing royalties legally, sharing royalties back to collection holders is the start of that. I mean, it's really easy to do. It's I thought it was something that must have been done before when we started working on it, and then we got our patent filing on it, or it's filed. So it's I think traditional IP is going to evolve the way that everything else has evolved in digital asset space, and so I really think that there's a lot that can be done.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I know it's maybe easier said than done, but it feels like there's a lot of things like converging at the right time. And I mean, earlier I think it was Joey saying Top Shot was just too early. Maybe so. I mean, there are like second mover, third mover advantage. It is very real, and I think the combination of first of all, the blockchain tech being much easier to use today than it was a few years ago. You've got platforms like Unvault that can help these big brands protect the royalties and not worry about going to a marketplace that is waiving royalties. You've got AI tools that can help these fans co-create. And the masses, the demand increasing for new creative IP, new storytelling, not just the Scream 17. Exciting times to be here. Tell us what is the latest with Unvault. I know we got the bugs coming out soon. What is
bugs are coming out? Bugs are a very interesting thing that have evolved from, we just wanted to do a collection where people could try to break the system, and that was cool. But they've become our rewards program within Unvault, and the rewards program where the rewards are tied to the bug. So we have something like a minter's bonus, for instance. You mint NFTs, you get a reward in perpetuity every time that NFT sells on the marketplace, and so that's kind of cool. And so our contracts are in audit. We've had really good feedback coming back from Quit, and we've been knocking those things out one at a time as they come in. By the time we had the next daily meeting, we've already got that solved, whatever it was.
It's exciting. What is the next milestone for those listening in? What can they do? What should they be looking forward to? Whether it be a launch or get some of these bugs. What do they need to? I did pin up top the Unvault spaces that are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If anyone wants any additional information, tune into that for more info. But what do we all need to know as far as like action we can take to participate in all that you're building?
Yep. So we will launch within the next sometime this month. We'll be launching.
Okay.
We'll be, everything's ready. And then bugs will be a free mint. So you'll mint your bug. The rewards from the activity on the Unvault site will be tied to that bug that you have in your wallet. And then that bug is also tradable. So that's kind of cool. And then we'll have our V2 we have a couple of those things worked out already. Things that we won't be rolling out when we launch, but we have some new stuff coming up. That'll be a lot of fun.
Very cool. So when you say launch this month, bugs,
Yep.
the Unvault marketplace, like is everything's
Yeah,
live,
and we
or
have
what all's in
yeah,
phase?
everything live. We have a mint schedule. We have some mints lined up. So that'll be launched.
And when you say
Marketplace
mint,
will be launched.
other third parties minting on Unvault, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Right. For other third parties that have been waiting patiently for us to launch. Because our mints are going to be a little bit different than most, a lot different. So you'll be able to mint number 1 of an NFT project on Solana, and number 2 on ETH, number 3 on Base, number 4 on Apechain, number 5 on whatever. And so 6, 7 different chains you'll be able to mint the NFTs on. So that just gives a minter, that gives the project that went from our audience that is out there minting their NFTs.
Yeah. And I know we've talked about, we've mentioned here on the show some new chains coming online, but at launch, it'll be those that you just ETH, Solana, Apechain, BNB.
BNB. Yeah. Arbitrum.
Apechain,
Base, Solana.
Base. That was the other one. I was forgetting Base.
Yeah. Base. Right.
Yeah, I think and we talk, related to talking about fandom and these communities, it's not just tapping into liquidity, but really, like, even still today, why I said the tech earlier, I don't know if you caught it, I was saying, like, if the product's good, if the mint's good, I don't know as if if many people really care about what chain it's on. Like, for instance, Panini blockchain. No one's excited about Panini blockchain. They're excited about the Panini cards. But what does still exist is you get, just like there's active NFT PFP communities, you have active chain communities. And there's people that are still, I don't want to say they're like base maxis in terms of like a base token, which doesn't exist yet today, or there's Solana maxis because they held a huge bag of Solana. It's just what they know. It's where they roll. They're just, even though you might be able to go click a button and click mint, and it's multi-chain, and you can pay with assets you hold on any chain or a credit card. Very simple UI UX that exists today. Even though you can do that, I think people still, not all, but a lot of people still, okay, I'm not comfortable. I'm not interested in something that's taking place on one of these other chains I don't actively participate on. And so I think the ability to mint multi-chain, to be able to trade and collect it's much more than just all that added liquidity. It's really tapping into, quite frankly, most, if not all, the fan bases of the active participants that exist, today in crypto.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, and I equated it to, we don't know if I call you on your phone and I'm calling from a Verizon phone and you're on AT&T, we don't really care.
Right.
It's just, we're having a conversation.
Yep.
And so that's really what I see chains being. There'll be benefits to being on certain chains. There'll always be something that the chain is doing. Certainly gas fees will always be disparate between ETH and some of the layer 2, layer 3s. Not that there's such a problem now with the upgrades to ETH, but yeah, it's brave new world.
So, and I'm not trying to pry anything out of you that's not public or don't want to share yet, but I'm envisioning, so you've got these mints coming on as soon as you go live. I'm guessing that the end user, whoever's minting, they'll choose their quantity, and then are they choosing the chain they want to mint on? I guess kind of like a drop down.
Yeah. They choose where they want it delivered. And so
now, will they then, when it comes to paying for said mint, assuming it's not a free mint, will they have to have funds on that chain? Or can I say, I want to mint I want this to be delivered to Apechain, but I'm going to pay for it with USDC on ETH mainnet?
That's correct.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. And I again, this is the sort of stuff that talk about. AI is one thing, and the consumer AI tools and resources is one thing, but real crypto infrastructure, this stuff didn't exist back. Like when Game of Thrones launched their NFT collection, this wasn't a thing. This didn't exist. And would have this fixed them? No. I said I'd share that picture. Let me go grab it. This wouldn't have saved Game of Thrones, but it's exciting and this doesn't just happen. I know you guys have been building for years now.
Ever.
And you've launched Divot, and you've done a lot to get to this point. But it doesn't just get here without leaders like yourself pushing the space forward, experimenting on chain, doing new stuff. And it's not just Unvault. There's others as well. But while a lot of people, like we're just talking about, and I'm not picking on Diablito, but like talking about like Top Shot and what they did or didn't do, for a lot of apes are down. Like a lot of people talk, oh, NFTs are down, crypto's down, dollar like price might be down, but not to use the cliche, builders build in a bear, but I think Unvault's a great example of real building that has taken place, this infrastructure layer that has gotten so much better in the last few years. And I think it's this sort of stuff that is setting us up for NFT season 2.0. I'm not saying it's back. Yeah. It'll look very different than 21, 22, but this sort of stuff really is setting us up for another season, another phase. And I'm really excited to see not just multi-chain mints and royalties protected, which that really does tug on my heartstrings. And I think the lack of royalties, what maybe led some people out of the space or prevented some new entrants from getting in. It's making it easy to do this stuff. Like a creative can come and launch. They can mint a collection, working with a partner like Unvault, and not have to have the technical expertise. We talk so much about AI and those AI tools and resources. AI doesn't still quite. Could you vibe code your smart contract? You could, but you're also you're opening up some attack vectors, some risk there. I think it's partners, it's tech like Unvault that is a great supplement to what can be done with AI. I finally found one. Pick shared this last year. Sorry for the distraction or going back to this, but I got to share I got to share this. This was the Game of Thrones NFTs. I don't know if I need to share much more in terms of why that didn't work, but
again, some of the problem with the NFTs and stuff, and I hate to jump into this, but some of the problem was not the fact that they were Game of Thrones NFTs, they were Trump NFTs. We even had like fiat NFTs, however you want to spell it. There's been a bunch of NFTs that have like pretty good brand IP, storytelling, their legacy, all that stuff behind it. The problem is they were run by third-party agencies.
Yes.
That's the fucking problem, right? And I hate to be frank about it, but the people that were deploying and selling the product and trying to push it forward and really get people riled about it didn't understand what they were talking about.
Yep.
Because it wasn't theirs.
Yeah, unqualified agencies, bad agencies, unqualified, and just steered these big brands. Or they didn't even steer the brand, they just licensed the IP and did a very, very...
I hate that so much, by the way. I really hate when people do that so much. Like, I'll give a couple examples. There's a couple examples of where I love this, but there's sometimes I just can't stand it. I'll give two shout outs because we know both these teams very dearly. We had meetings with them in Licensing Expo, all that stuff. I think Will and Digitoys are positioned well for this on Abstract. I also think Dan and David from Vivi are positioned well to do this as well because they have that IP. They had it for a long time. As an example, Will's family is pretty high up in Disney. So to me, that makes sense. His family's been involved. He's been involved. He's been there since he was a kid. They have VIP passes, all that stuff. They know the IP. They share the IP. They love the IP. They created the IP. His parents did. So it's kind of like it makes sense versus some of these teams, third-party agencies were never an agency prior crypto. Don't know how that stuff works. Can't do a proper GTM. And they just kind of want to sell things out because it's hot. And I hate that stuff. And I hate that people threw money at it. But, it is what it is. And that's kind of where the bad rep, I think some of it came from, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. You're exactly right. And not taking shots at these others. There was so many low effort cash grabs. And I'm not saying Game of Thrones did the cash grab. They probably didn't know any better. That so many of them just got taken advantage of by advisors or agencies that had no business launching NFT collections. I'm glad you mentioned Will's name. Will, I owe him a text back. We had a great conversation at what the heck was the event in Miami recently?
The Pudgies? Was it Pudgies event in Miami?
Yeah, but what was Consensus? It was the Pudgy side event around Consensus. We had a great conversation on there. I think he's going to come on. I see Cab out there as well. Be a great one to join the conversation. We want to do like a licensing panel, an IP panel, really expanding on what we're talking about this morning. with some leaders in the space. And yeah, I think Will would be a great person to help moderate that one. And to your point, like, probably doesn't get enough credit for all that he is doing with a major brand, a major franchise like Disney. And yes, there are, obviously you're aware of it, talking about it, but not getting the attention that it probably deserves from crypto Twitter, nor from a volume or a price action standpoint. It's like some of this, I really don't even know how to, I don't know the why behind that, as far as like, these Disney, and maybe part of it is like, and then what is a digital collectible just enough, or do you need this community?
Cap, I think I want to speak for some of them, but I've had conversations with Will about this off air. He's also been on the pod too, all that stuff. And for them, it's about creating experiences too. And they understand and realize that part of the experience bracket now falls under digital collectible experience and online experiences. Obviously, they still have their stuff in real life, which is great. But I think tying those two together, giving the digital one more of a purpose through the physical, through the real life stuff, and then doing the inverse of that too is a high priority for them. So it's really about the experiences for them, to be honest, and how can we make that greater? Because I think the elephants in the room, really, like all the people that are Gen Z, my age bracket, a little bit younger, they're growing up collecting digital stuff anyways, right? So at some point, that is going to be the norm. It kind of is already. It's our norm a little bit because we're here. We're kind of in a tech space. We're in a finance space. We're kind of in the weeds. We're really grassroots community, on CT, all that stuff. But for the normies outside, it's a little bit of a more foreign concept. You have to start to realize it. But the folks, the younger guys, younger gals that are in their early teens and early 20s, even earlier than that, for them, this is the norm already. So I think getting ahead of that curve and providing digital experiences, as Nick says, we'll pass the mic over to him with an engagement layer fandom and giving them something to do after those experiences and making those the best way possible is definitely high priority.
Yeah, I agree. We'll get.
Yeah, you familiar with the UMG Kingship?
I am. Yep.
NFTs. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. I actually, as an attorney, I represent, I don't know, a few dozen holders that just felt like that was a rug pull, that they promised stuff that they were going to give.
Yeah.
In real life events, early access to drops and all kinds of stuff that they just shut it down. And so, I mean, that's for instance there. I am involved with that. So
it's like businesses fail all the time. I think it's like to what you just said, and why I get so frustrated with I mentioned Jenkins, the valet earlier, and that Tally Labs team is like, and maybe in that case, they delivered on these specific things. We're going to give you this, and this for minting. But there was a lot of other things alluded to, or just things that they just, hey, we're out. And like, I don't know, it's just my opinion. I think it's different if you're building a community-based brand and project, and you take in mint funds and you raise funds. If you run out of money and you can't keep the lights on anymore, I get it, it happens. But when we're just going to go pivot out of this and go do something else, and we're out. Like, you guys are on your own. It just leaves such a poor taste in people's mouths, and I think that's probably drove a lot of people out of the space, both on the
and I think what they
fan as well as the big brands.
Yeah, what UMG should have done is offered a redemption. If they were going to stop the rewards program, they'd do some type of redemption. Hey, we'll give you your mint price or something. It would have been a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah, I agree.
But in that situation, I mean, I have some whales that are clients that just had a bunch of them, and they just got stuck when UMG decided it was going to shut down that program.
Yeah, it is. So many came in with so much potential, and I think what frustrates me, or what's sad, there's not even frustration, it's more sad than anything, is like, as that the first sign of like things are getting tough, or the floor price is down, or it's like they just left, they just gave up. It wasn't like, oh, we ran out of funds, we can't do this anymore, the business failed, we couldn't find product market fit. And I know that happened probably in some cases, but there was so many others. I feel like as soon as the going got tough, they're like, okay, we're out. We're not even going to try to figure this out. We're not going to try to solve it. You guys are on your own. Thanks for the 7 figures in mint funds.
Well, they're so used. I mean, they're accustomed to throwing money at something and then getting ROI. And so,
Mhm.
they want to see that ROI like they see in traditional Web 2 kind of stuff. And, there's ebbs and flows. You get great ROI for the first few months, and then bam, now you have to start working, doing all the things you promised you were going to do. And so we get projects all the time that come to us at Unvault, and they're like, hey, I've literally, dozens have said, I just want to turn over the NFT project to you, and you do the things I promised I was going to do. And I'm like, wait.
Well,
That's just not the way to go.
yeah, it's funny. It's also funny when we see, and I'm not trying to pick on Subducks, but that was one recently where they had an interested acquirer, someone that was willing to come in and actually throw money at it, like actually buy it, and then they came back and they wanted, I don't know, $500,000 or something. And I'm not debating on how much the IP is worth, but the reality is anyone acquiring most of these legacy NFT brands, like they're acquiring liabilities, like they're taking on maybe not traditional debt in terms of financial debt, but at minimum they're taking on utility debt. They're taking on a headache of thousands of holders who have some sort of expectation or feel they're owed something. And I think a lot of these, if you want to see the IP continue and grow and be a going concern, it's like you need to find a good steward and either gift it to them, or at worst, it's not $500,000 up front. It's like, hey, we'll give you the keys, give us a small, $10,000 down payment, and then we're going to split revenues 50-50 for the next 5 years, something like that, where asking people to come out of their pocket for 6-7 figures to save a dying brand, and it has a lot of pent-up community, utility debt is just I don't know the word for it, but
well, one of those things we help with at Unvault is the ability to move from a 721 to a 721C. And so, yes, we talk about cross chain, but we also have intra-chain movement. So you can move one way from a 721 to a 721C and start enforcing royalties on that, and then start giving those rewards only to those that are on this new contract.
Exactly. Yeah. Very, very cool. Again, appreciate you and the team and all that you're doing to push the space forward. I'm truly excited for the launch. I pinned up the Unvault space for tomorrow. I saw Cab jumped up, so if you don't mind hanging for another 60 seconds, I want to see if Cab had a question for you or a thought that you might want to come back on. I see we have Dude Lifts behind the in the green room waiting to talk about this upcoming Doodles mint and Q&A. There's one other mint that's happening today as well. I'm telling you, NFT mints are back. And not only are they back, most of the I lost my great royalty report, but it's very real. Like I don't think it's coincidence that you're seeing a lot of this success from these newer NFT mints when royalties are protected, because it's not just more money and more revenue for the brand. It mitigates some of the farmers and flippers from coming in and entering the collection and sweeping 100 and then just bricking the floor by dumping them all into bids. Cab, I saw you joined us. Sorry for picking on you earlier. I'm going to count on you. No, and by the way, I should add, Andrew does a phenomenal job representing the brand. So it's not that we need you. He could definitely fill in your shoes, but I know it's a topic you're very passionate about when it comes to licensing and IP and fandom, storytelling with fans. So I would love to have you back for that licensing/IP panel here in the near future. But GM, what brought you up this morning? Do you have a thought or question, whether it be for Ernest or just in general regarding the conversation?
No thoughts. To be honest, I was like multitasking when I heard my name. I was like, oh, I'll push the button. I was writing emails, but yeah, I've already sat down next to Aaron, and he took me through what you guys are building, and it's pretty awesome. So kudos. I think allowing people to interface across different chains is totally goated, and I think that blurring the lines and less tribalism is definitely a net positive for the space. But aside from that, I don't know. I was just gonna add to the convo if we were talking about anything relevant or like IP driven or licensing. But aside from that, yeah, good morning.
Good morning, GM. Appreciate you joining us. Always a pleasure, and yeah, looking forward to continuing this conversation. I think it's one that's going to come up from time to time again. And Ernest, before we get you out of here, anything we didn't ask you about specifically about Unvault today, or anything you wanted to share before we bring Dude Lifts on here and talk about another IP, and this one that's collaborating with the estate of a traditional artist, which is I think it's one of the more exciting collaborations I've seen in a while. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, another Doodles mint. Like I wasn't interested, but the more I learned about it, I did get pretty excited about the how and why. behind it, and excited to pick Doodless brain a bit. But before we go to Dude Lifts, any final thoughts or anything we didn't ask you today you wanted to share?
No, sir. I think that's it. We're plugging away. We'll have more updates next week for sure.
Good stuff. Well, congrats on getting this far. Excited to hear the audits and everything going well, and truly excited for launch. We'll chat again next week. And if you have further questions, if you want to have one of those sit downs with Aaron or Ernest, DM them. They're very accessible. Join one of their space tomorrow afternoon. It's pinned up top, and they'd be glad to help. But certainly appreciate you, sir. Before we go to Dude Lifts, I did allude to another mint here. I'm going to show that real quick, just a quick highlight, and then we'll keep we'll bring it right back to NFT mints, in this case with Doodles. This Glyphs by F. It's a collab. Stoked to partner. This is from F. here. Stoked to partner with multi-talented artist and musician Studio Payman. I apologize if I'm butchering the name, but there's this mints today on OpenSea, and I don't have just a cool, fun little art project. No expectations. Don't go sweep a bunch of these just because I'm talking about it on the show. As always, do your own research, never any financial advice, all that good stuff. But we're adults here, and this is minting on OpenSea. You can see here it is there's a team allocation and gifts that's going to start at 11 a.m. Eastern, and then at noon, F. collectors can mint for 0.008. Then partners and friends can mint starting at 1 for 0.009. Then collab communities, it's first come, first serve, also 0.009. So another one of these low cost fun mints that, some real talent, and 0.009 ETH. I got to do the math. It's not a big number. $16. So if you vibe with the art and you can afford to lose $16, or you can afford to collect something for $16 and not have any financial expectation, good one to support here. Maybe something comes of it. Again, I'll pat myself on the back. I think every new mint that we've talked about leading up to mint, or mint day or the day after, has been a absolute cook in 2026. I mean, it's you may not hit 100x, but I think every single one we've talked about, you've been able to flip for a gain at some point within the weeks, months following, and some have been some really nice cooks. So maybe nothing comes of this, but fun little doodle-esque art, and a good segue to roll right into the real Doodles.
Can I just make a quick correction?
Yeah,
Cap.
Absolutely.
So that post you pinned, that F. posted with Studio Paymon, that collab is just like a whitelist collab. F. did this on his own. This is his own project.
Okay. Got it. So the Studio Payman was one of the collab communities. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Got it. No, thank you for the correction. Appreciate it.
That was one. And then the other thing is F. a really awesome artist who's collabed with like the Knicks. I think he just did something with the Nets, that he did this huge mural there with like I think it was Maduro, the beer company, and the Nets. And he's just been doing a lot of dope collabs. He did a Golden Goose collab a few weeks ago, and he's just been crushing it. And yeah, like you said, these are very low cost, low risk, and you're supporting a really awesome artist. And then also, you were talking about earlier in the show about co-creation and community collaboration. And leading up to this drop, he actually had the community co-create and collaborate on a few of these different glyphs. So I actually believe that some of what is being included is community collaboration.
Very cool.
Inside the actual collection.
Love it. No, appreciate you jumping up. Thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate the correction. And Imlo is deep in this art space, the digital art space, art space in general, much more so than I, and gets me more excited to go mint one of these. And I don't know, I might do some shopping on secondary, even for some that resonate with you. You see, past clients and collabs from Nike, Coke, Google, Topps, the Bulls, the Knicks, pretty established muralist and creator. It's just f.studio.com if you wanted to get more details there.
The other thing is, and I don't know this for a fact, but my hunch is that it's a little bit oversubscribed on whitelist, so it'll probably mint out maybe before public even. I don't know that it'll actually make it to public because of how much attention it's gotten.
Nice. Again, thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate it. Good luck to everyone going for it. And speaking of established artists, we got Doodles joining us today, talking not just about Doodles, but the Mondrian estate. I may not even pronounce it right. I wasn't familiar with the artist. I'm not Mondrian. I'm not as cultured as someone like Imlo is. I don't know all these legendary artists like Mondrian, but Doodles, GM, welcome. Appreciate your patience there. Excited to talk about this. I did post I pinned a couple posts up top, but tell us about, I guess if we can rewind. First of all, I shouldn't assume. I know we were talking a lot about NBA Top Shot and a little bit of flow conversation, and guy goes way back, OG, not just with Doodles, but did some great work with the flow team for a while. And I just assume everyone knows Doodles by now. If not, maybe they're brand new to the space. But do you mind just real briefly, quick by way of introduction, tell those who may be hearing from you for the first time today, anything you want to share about yourself, your crypto journey, what you're doing with Doodles, and then we'll jump right into this upcoming mint.
Sure. Yeah. Dude, well, thanks for having me first off. And that F-Dot, man, I'm excited for that too. I remember, he was someone who I saw around in the space. I think when I came into NFTs in late 21, and I was like, oh, this guy's cool. It was like him, like Vinny Hagar, like some of these guys, so it's cool to see that they're in the game and doing new work, and people are excited about it. So cool. Super cool. But
I was going to say, I was thinking, I didn't say it, but in my head, I was like, that gave me some Vinny Hagar vibes.
Yeah. They're kind of like, it seems like kindred spirits in their style, But yeah, they do. Thanks for having me. My name's Doodles. It's Matt. I'm not like, Anon, but most people just call me Doodles. And yeah,
I probably knew your name was Matt, but that in my brain, that's the first time you'll forever be Doodles.
Literally nobody calls me Matt, but I just want to be clear because some people are like, do I just call you Doodles? And I'm like, yeah, it works. Like it's because it's Doodles on Twitter, Telegram, email, everywhere. It just keeps it super simple. So, but yeah, I came to NFTs, I think late 21, paid my tuition, minted a bunch of rugs. And I, at some point, realized that I wanted to hitch my wagon to a team that knew what they were doing. And I saw these guys, Poopy and Evan, on podcasts, and they were talking about, ironically, talking about flow. They were talking about crypto kitties and all this stuff. And I was like, these guys have been around the block. Like, I'm going to get a doodle and I'm going to go all in. I'm tired of this kind of these slow rugs. And so joined the Doodles community in 22. And that actually led me, I just kind of jumped in the middle of the bed with that community, just wanted to be involved and was creating content. That led me to Flow because of the Doodles 2 product on Flow at the time, and ended up parlaying that into a job at Flow and worked there for a couple of years, and was an amazing experience. I mean, Dapper Labs, like a lot of people talk about like the Coinbase alumni network and like how many companies they've gone on to start. I'm like, Dapper Labs is extremely similar. If you really dig into it, the people who are kind of like ex-Dapper have gone on to do amazing things. And then there's a reason for that. It's just an incredible environment. And so, yeah, just recently, early this year, was talking with Burnt Toast and, was talking about maybe if there's an opportunity to help Doodles. I've been around for a while, and it turns out there was. And so, yeah, came on with Doodles full time. And so as the director of ecosystem and growth, and it's been a blast. It's been everything I wanted to do. I was like, and I'll stop yapping so we can actually chat about the real stuff. But like, I think when I joined the Doodles community in 22, the team wasn't perfect. There was, the silent time, all these times that people remember. And I remember sitting there being like, well, if I was on the team, then I would know better. Like, and the reality is like at that time, I wouldn't have. Like, I was just, it was like the bravado of a young man. Like if I was in the driver's seat, but like now having, spent a couple of years working with some of the world's biggest brands and all the stuff that you could really only do working at Flow, I was like, I think I have what it takes to make a real impact here at Doodles and take it to where I think everyone believes and knows that it can go. And only a couple months in, I feel like that's at least proving to be correct. It's been awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on the journey. And I mean, it's fitting. Earlier, we were just talking about this concept of storytelling and fandom and fans co-creating with these. In particular, we were talking like Hollywood studios and these franchises that are, have incredibly valuable IP. And instead of like sending a cease and desist as soon as a fan creates a spinoff or, a little short, like work with them, lean in with them. And while I don't necessarily think that's going to lead to every one of these fans who co-create something getting quote unquote hired, I think we'll see a lot more of freelancing and working together. I do think there's also exactly what, like, people are worried about AI. Well, leverage AI to create something cool. Like, I know that's not exactly your path or your journey, but if you're a fan, if you're passionate about something, create with it. Like, you don't just sit back and wait to get permission. Do something, build, and you essentially can create your own opportunities. It may not be instantly. In your case, you became a Doodle fan multiple years prior to
many years. Yeah.
But that is, I think it's a great example of, I think, this world we're heading into. It's also a great example of the power of crypto and these building together, building with fans. Like, I'm not only does it create an opportunity for yourself, I'm guessing Doodles is pretty happy to have someone like you on the team who's not just capable and experienced and can do a good quote unquote job, but they can't hire your passion for the brand off the street. It's just, I mean, I guess they can, but they're going to go through probably hundreds, if not thousands, of candidates and resumes to find someone who has a shared love for the brand and is such a fan of the art and the IP and the brand as you are. And I think it's a shining example of what is one of the really cool things about these crypto native brands, in particular NFT PFP brands. And I thought you were a great hire as soon as I heard it. And just candidly, I'm not trying to, again, we're keep things positive and uplifting today, but it restored a lot of faith in it restored faith in the Doodles brand for me. I was kind of like, okay, what are they doing? Where are they going? Not quite tracking the new changes. And when I saw that they brought you on the team, like, oh, now I've got some faith in that they have. And I've been trying to choose my words carefully because I don't mean any disrespect to Burnt Toast or others on the team, but I know I know how passionate you are about not just NFTs and the art, but the NFT space and community, right? I think that's very important. And I think this has been, we were talking earlier about agencies and kind of dropping the ball on some of this established IP that came into the space. Part of it is having a community leader, some sort of conduit between those passionate fans and the brand itself. And I don't expect that to be every CEO. I don't expect that to be every artist. But if it's not the CEO, if it's not the artist, I think it's critical that they have someone like yourself on the team that can be the front person of the brand, so to speak. No pressure.
Nice. No, dude, I appreciate all the kind words. Like, and it's funny you mentioned that all the talk about agencies, and I'm going to offend some agencies out there.
We've been offended agencies all morning. Don't worry about it.
But there's certainly a time and place for working with agencies. 100%. Licensing Expo is a great example of that. But that was one of the wisdoms that I got from working at Flow. Is like from the top. I won't say exactly who. I got some wisdom at some point because I was like working with some agencies, and they're like, hey, agencies suck. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Great. I'm okay. And they were saying like, someone who's in-house, who has that deep experience, like they're just going to work harder. They're going to be more intuitive about what the thing is. They're not have to onboard, spend weeks and weeks and months understanding the brand, understanding the nuance of the little details to be able to do the work. And so, like I said, not across the board, but dude, and one of the things too, and I appreciate you, even just before I was on, you're like, another Doodles mint, like, you say what you think and you're always honest. And so that's why it cuts both ways. It's so like when you have legitimate feedback, people listen to it, because at the same time, you're willing to say like, hey, and here's the positive things too. And so people believe you. So like, that's one of the things I always have.
I mean, if I wasn't interested, if it didn't pique my curiosity, I wouldn't have had you on. Like we didn't have to have you on. This was very impromptu. And if it was just another Doodles mint, we're probably not having this conversation today. No offense, but I am going to shoot straight. And this is not a sponsored post. We've partnered with Unvault. We're proud of that, partially because I really believe in what they're building. I'm excited about it. But whether it's a sponsored interview, whether it's just an impromptu interview that's not paid at all, like Doodles doesn't pay me a dime to have this conversation, to have Doodles on. Like my interest was piqued. Like I was like, okay, this is different. This is not just another Doodles mint. No offense by that, but I'm just shooting straight. Like another. Valid. Yeah. You can fill in the blank. It doesn't have to be Doodles. Another mint from ABC brand from 2021, 2022. If it's not something unique and different, it doesn't excite me. I've promoted the Good Vibes mint, the monthly mint that they do. Well, it's special. They've done that every month. I don't think I've highlighted maybe the first one they did, maybe another one. But
is that the Dort one they did just the other day?
Sure. I want to give Dort, like it's different because of their, again, co-creating their storytelling with with a diehard fan, with a great community brand ambassador. That resonates with me. That's stuff that I'm happy to support, happy to talk about.
Yeah, speaking of that dork guy, I just saw that as part of the Vibathon, he created some like lore world.
Yep.
I thought that was so cool. And you mentioned, fans being able to co-create with brands, and like that's such a prime example. And I think even, and I want to say this because like and it's funny, it feels like speaking from a place of privilege because like I did get the job, but like I think that is such a pure example in the way that brands should be inspirational, not aspirational necessarily. Like if you go, I spend a lot of time on like Instagram and other social medias because I think it's important to do that and I enjoy it. Doom scrolling, but like I think about Pokemon and this other stuff, that my algorithm's full of that. Disney, all these fandoms that I'm a part of. And people just create. They are compelled to do so. They're inspired to participate in the community for whatever reason that may be, the social signaling, their own personal fulfillment, whatever. And so that's something I think about often is like, yeah, we want to inspire, not necessarily be aspired to be a part of. If that makes
I love
sense.
it. Yeah, it does. Well, I mean, well put and well done. Like it really does. I'm not saying this like to glaze you. I'm not. There's no pressure, but like I genuinely feel this way. My perception of Doodles and how they're building, it's like a 180 by having someone that's not just someone I know and trust, but someone who's is accessible and that I believe has a great pulse and understanding on not just the NFT space, not just the technology, but understands what we've been talking about this morning, like the power of co-creating and storytelling with your fans and building together and doing things differently. Not just, again, the art, like Burnt Toast is a very talented artist, but if this was just Burnt Toast art and there's no collaboration with the estate of a famous artist, the art could have been just as good or better if there's no collaboration. But this stuff matters. This stuff, it's like it's unique, it's different. We talk about pushing the space forward, doing things differently. In this case, working with the estate of someone who's no longer living. This is, I guess maybe it's been done before. I don't think Doodles has, and I can't off the top of my head, I can't think of another. And this, it's funny because Zane says Mondrian sounds like a rare Pokemon. Running bit here that I've mispronounced like 90%
shiny Mondrian, right?
Brian Brinkman did a collab with the estate of Norman Rockwell last year.
Interesting. I missed that. Very interesting. So it's collabing with estates has been done. Where did walk us through this? How did this come to be? Where was it? Did they happen to reach out? Was it someone on the Doodles team that said, "Hey, let's do something together"? How does this? Because it's not a living artist. How does a collaboration with an estate like this of a legendary? How does this even come to be?
I'll say that the initial contact predated my time at Doodle, so I'm not sure if it was like inbound or outbound. But big shout out to Elmon X actually. So some people might have seen that name kind of in between. It was like Doodles, Elmon X, Mondrian Holtzman Estate. Elmon X has done some really good work in sourcing, licenses or opportunities from either these estates or living artists or whatever, and bringing them on chain. And so they're that kind of like technical partner in that membrane that connected, OpenSea, Mondrian Holtzman Estate and Doodles all together. So great crew over there.
Very cool. Makes sense. I was going to ask, who is Elmon X? How do they come into play here? So not that they're an quote unquote agency, but if they were one of the good ones, it's actually connecting some, not making it all about them, not trying to just, hey, we can mint this, but let's collaborate with, a known, trusted Web3 brand, Web3 artist. And oh, by the way, let's make sure we link up with OpenSea because it just makes sense. Before I forget, where does one of the, and I'll see if I can find the post here as well, that I don't quite fully understand, other than there's a couple of I guess NFTs, digital assets.
The whole components of the drop. There's a lot going on there. Yeah. So do you want me to kind of break it down for you?
Yeah. How does VV come into play here? This was looking for. Did you know the Mondrian and Doodles artwork comes with a free VV official collectible, Doodle Dog and Doodle Pencil, now available to view and experience in 3D AR, created in collaboration with the Mondrian Holtzman Trust. How does where does, so it makes sense now. I understand Elmon X and their their role in this launch or this mint. Where does VV come into play?
Yeah, it's a very like multimodal mint, if that makes sense, right? So
Mhm.
there's the blind box drop, which is 555. You can get one of 5 different artworks, and that's on Ethereum mainnet, that's on OpenSea. And then after that, there'll be the physical drop where there are 2 separate prints, 300 total count, 150 each. And even within those physical prints, there's 2 different treatments. There's the kind of like matte treatment, and then there's 20% of the collection will have a holographic treatment. So there's a little bit of gamification kind of in all of it. And then I don't want to use it's like 7 a.m. My time. So forgive me if my words are eluding me. Like not a consolation prize, but there's a free VV collectible with all of it, if that
Okay.
makes sense. So like if you collect any of it, you get this additional free VV collectible, which has a VR AR component. So it's just kind of like, I don't want to say covering all the bases, but it's just like a full kind of like digital physical experience. And VV has super easy onboarding. It's a different community. It's been interesting to see the response from VV because even the VV community is like, I don't know about this OpenSea thing, which I get because coming from the flow side, I remember the Top Shot guys would be like, those crypto bros, like they are like, they're just on the Top Shot app. They're like, I don't know blockchain. I just collect my sports cards. VV has a similar thing. Like I just collect my Marvel comics, my Disney collectibles that have like VR AR, and I don't mess with NFTs, even though they're NFTs. And so yeah, so there's a couple components to the drop, but it should be fun. Everyone who gets a chance to interact with it.
Very cool. I've got for those watching video, I've got the OpenSea mint page here, or the collection page rather, pulled up. The collector blind box, that first phase mints tomorrow, kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern. Or no, actually that's live for the team reserve. The private sale kicks off tomorrow at noon for Doodles, space holders, and Element X holders. And then public sales starts at 1 p.m. So you got an hour, limit 5 per wallet for holders, and then public sales starts at 1. The price point's 0.08 ETH on both. So phase 1, the collector blind box, there's 5 original works by Burnt Toast, bringing the Doodle signature, pastel palette, and characters into conversation with the geometric legacy of Piet Mondrian estate. The result is a series of classic compositions familiar with structure, but entirely new in spirit, created in collaboration with the estate. And then after that, when is the second drop, the coded pink? And explain, I understand the third drop is the physical prints. What are they both prints? The second and the third are prints.
Yep.
Right?
The coded pink and focused. Yeah, those are both the physical prints. One features mellow, one features hap.
Got it. And what's the timeline on those? When are those mints?
There are a couple. I don't have it in front of me right now, but there are a couple hours after. So yeah, it'll be
so it all is going to take place tomorrow.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Got it. Okay.
Tomorrow. But to go. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I say, are they all 0.08 ETH, or does the price point change on the drop 2 and drop 3?
The price point on the physicals will be more. Those details will be released in just a couple hours. So I'll have an official communication from that. But there'll be a little bit more because they're on like museum grade paper, the whole 9. Very cool stuff. So a lot of art collectors will appreciate that.
Very cool. And what is you probably already said this, but what's the supply on each of those then?
Yeah. So blind box is 555, and so that has 5 pieces of artwork, and there's different rarities, quote unquote, or different like supply for each of those. So there'll be one that has as little as maybe 5 and one that has as much as 200. So that'll be fun to kind of see how that shakes out. And then for the physical prints, that's 150 each, split right down the middle. But like I said, about 80% of those will have that matte treatment, and 20% of those will be holographic.
Very cool. And the prints, whether it's holographic or you said some museum quality paper, would I assume that you have the chance to redeem it and you get it shipped in like a
it'll come in a tube, like a traditional gallery print. Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
So if you want to frame it, you can frame it on your own. Is there an option to, like, I guess, pay extra to get it framed, or they're all coming in the tubes?
I think they're all coming in the tubes. I don't think there's a shipping option for that.
Got it. Makes sense. It adds a whole nother realm of cost and challenges when you come to frames. And a lot of people, like I kind of like, I prefer not to buy them framed. A, much less expensive, and B, you can kind of match whatever frame you might have in your office or home. So very cool. 555 editions, 5 artworks on this blind box. Then the coded pink print, 150 editions, and then the focus print, 150 editions as well. All going live tomorrow. As I mentioned, the OpenSea collection link is pinned up top, and that'll kick off at noon Eastern tomorrow. I saw a few. Are you? I know we're running a little long here. Do you have time to take a few questions?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I did want to say something real quick because maybe the questions will come from this, but
Mhm.
you mentioned kind of like estate collabs and who's done this. And OpenSea did a really great article, and I would encourage anybody to go read it. It's a fantastic read about this drop, because the Mondrian estate has not allowed anybody to reimagine these original artworks ever. And so Doodles is the first to get to reimagine them. And one of the things that's extra special, and they cover this in the article, is that one of the physical prints, Coated Pink, is actually a reimagining of one of the master's unfinished artworks, which is like, that's a big deal.
That is a big.
Yeah, it's a big deal that they would trust us.
Sorry, I keep stepping on you here. Mom,
Oh,
you
no,
got me
all good.
excited. Do you think, like we're talking about whether it's a Hollywood studio or individual artist in this NFT season 2, like a next phase of NFTs, albeit very different, bringing some excitement, new entrants into the space, even not even just from estates or trusts, but like living artists. Do you think like this might be I don't say more appropriate, but maybe do you think we see more of this as in terms of collaborations with existing brands in the space and entering the space by way of collaboration, something like this, as opposed to I want to bring my art on chain. I need to find a dev. I need to learn everything about blockchain. Like this to me makes a lot of sense. Do you think we see more of this? Do you think this might, I don't want to say kick off a new meta, but just say, you think we see more collaborations when traditional artists want to bring their art on chain? Maybe what do you think are the benefits of partnering or collaborating with someone like Doodles as opposed to them just doing it on their own?
Yeah. I'll say like the tech for bringing your own just like first party, artwork on chain, things like OpenSea 2.0 and the drop pages is much easier than it ever has been, which is awesome. So hopefully we see some more of that too. But funny enough, like this hasn't necessarily changed. Only speaking for Doodles, like in the past few years, like Doodles has always been a place where some of the world's biggest brands, can land in Web3 or have a kind of like soft landing or a welcome reception here. Think about like Adidas and G-Shock and McDonald's, and they could all kind of dip their toes or jump all the way into Web3 like via Doodles. And one of the phrases that we have is we say like Doodles is a lens. And so like I talked a lot at the licensing expo with teams about this, is that the Doodles art style, you mentioned it's not about the art style, but in a way it is, in the sense that brands can reimagine themselves through the look of Doodles without like rebranding and losing their soul, right? So it allows them to kind of reimagine and refresh themselves. Mondrian's a great example. We're talking about some other IPs. I think it's particularly appealing. At least we're seeing a lot of interest with legacy IPs, because they want to be a part of this world, this community, the internet even, but they're not sure how to approach it, right? And how to come at it with a fresh way. They can't just say like, "Hey, here I am again. Remember me from 50 years ago?" But now they can have a kind of a fresh new way to appear, and Doodles offers an opportunity for that.
Yeah, it certainly does. And to me, it just feels so much. I mean, talking about the challenges of those that came in, it's not picking on agencies, but when they come in, it's like in this world, like, would it make sense for Mondrian Estate to build their own Discord community and Web3 community? Maybe, but it probably makes a lot more sense in this. And it's also like the after mint, after the art's been released on chain, and then what? Well, when you're partnering with someone like Doodles, like it feels like less pressure on the artist to do something beyond just the art, which right or wrong or good or bad, the reality is the expectation of many here is there is more than just the art. Not that there's anything wrong with just putting art on chain and just art by itself, but I think when you talk about momentum and excitement and volume and interest, when there's more than just art, or there's something that continues on, right? Like we're talking about, like even just simply that fandom and being able to get into a group of other individuals who also appreciate the art. Like that stuff matters.
It's like, well, and I was just gonna say, like, this is why NFTs are so cool. I remember Gary Vee back in 21 saying like, these NFTs are never going away. So someone can 10 years later come and like pick it up, and just decide to make something of it. And in this particular drop is interesting because I'm not going to say like, yeah, if we had a bunch of like excited, interesting collectors who made their way to the Discord and they're like, we want to meet up for a dinner, that like we wouldn't fund that or like make that happen. You know what I mean? Like that's the cool part about this, is that these people can gather and they can be recognized in that way. But for like this kind of drop, I think we're very particular about how we even communicate it, just even down to the tweets, to the copy. You know, how does this present itself more like a fine art drop, so that those expectations are adjusted accordingly, as opposed to saying like, mint this Mondrian art and, you know, meet us at whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a little bit different way to approach it.
I love it. Well, you mentioned the OpenSea article. I did pin that up top for anyone who wants to read that in detail. Good read. I would recommend it. And then also, it's not just OpenSea. Business Insider doing a piece on this drop. You're quoting here, "This is the first time the estate has ever approved a collaboration that reimagines Mondrian's original works. 5 of his most celebrated compositions have been reinterpreted through the Doodleverse." And then to your quote, "Doodle is a lens." This is how the next phase happens, in my opinion. It's onesie twosie onboarding. It's bringing in, being maybe hand holding is not the best word, but yeah, hand holding artists and helping them launch in a successful way where expectations are correct, and doing so with an existing community and shared fandom, I think makes a lot of sense. So we got Cab's hand up on stage, and then I also saw we had Spinotron join us. We shared some of those Panini posts earlier were courtesy of Spinotron, and if you're able to hang out for a little bit, I would love to pick your brain here in a bit after we get through these. And you're welcome to, obviously, if you have any questions for Dude Lifts or regarding this Doodle Mint, by all means, you're welcome to join us. But appreciate you joining us today. It's great to connect. Cab, you have thoughts or questions for Dude Lifts?
What's up, Matt?
Hey.
I get to call him Matt.
He said, "What's up, man?" I'm like, who else is on? Like,
oh, Matt.
Like, what? We got someone else on the stage here? I kid. It's just he'll be forever Dude Lifts to me.
I gotta go soon, so I'll just leave it with this one. But just wanted to give you kudos and talk about the. I'm super bullish on multinodal mints. I think one of the huge value adds of NFTs and digitals is that you can tie in extra stuff around an experience. And so on one end, there's the counter argument that like, yeah, it might be complex, but I think the best way to look at it is like when you tie in something like VV or just extra other digital loops, don't overthink it. Like it's just additionality. It's like extra joy tied to something you're going to buy anyways. So why not? And so I really dig that you guys are doing that play.
Dude, it's been awesome. The VV community is like, the VV community probably has never heard of Doodles before, and like they're showing up.
They're so unhinged. I've met them in person, like at DesignerCon, and they're like giga collectors. So it's great to onboard.
If you see that red circle, you know the mind of the VV collector.
It's funny. Well, Cab, appreciate
so
you.
Funny because sorry, I'll just leave one more thing. Is like they don't consider them, like you said, they don't consider themselves crypto bros at all, but like they're using crypto in the app. So yeah, which is probably super bullish actually.
I love it. Well, Cap, appreciate you joining us. I'll double tap on the props and the kudos here. Loving to see it. And this, when I say experimenting on chain, it doesn't have to be some new fancy contract or some new tech. What you're bringing on chain matters, and bringing on new things. And even this, like you said, multimodal mint here, like it's exciting that we're out. I feel like we're out of the copy pasta era, and that's a good thing. Innovation's a good thing. Dude Lifts, I gotta step away for like 30 seconds. I'll be right back. I'm gonna be able to hear you. I'll unmute my camera when I get back. But anything I haven't asked you, anything that we haven't got into on this mint, anything you wanted to share about this mint, the collection, the artist, or just Doodles in general, the mic's yours. What haven't we got to today that you're hoping to share? And like I said, I'll be right back. I can hear. I'll get a step away from the mic for like 30 seconds.
Dude, yeah. Where do I even begin? Dude, I think what I was saying earlier about like Doodles being a lens, I think that it's one of those things that like this will continue to become more and more clear as time goes on. I mean, if you look backwards, then there's some clarity there, and like a bunch of brands are imagining themselves through the lens of Doodles. And I think this kind of collection here with Mondrian and future ones will make that even more clear. And I wouldn't be doing my job, if I didn't say, take this opportunity while Cap's away. No, but for those of you who don't know, we're talking about co-creating. We have a product now called Doodles AI. And it's where you can come and reimagine yourself, your pets, your friends, your family, dragons, whatever, because we have image to image and text to image. So you can reimagine anything that you can come up with in the style of Doodles, which I just got to say, as a Doodles community member, first and foremost, Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of commissions made when I first joined the Doodles community, and I would have been absolutely insufferable had I had this like Doodles AI tool. I was insufferable regardless, but so I'm having a ton of fun with that, and I think that we talk about Cap. You're mentioning kind of the next leg up. What does the next leg up for NFTs look like? And I think that Doodles right now, there was obviously some team changes and whatnot, and so there's that kind of forming, norming period that happens after that. But I think we are positioning ourselves like, I think so well for whatever the next leg up looks like.
Yeah, I mean, proper plug. I mean, this is really fits in with the conversation we've been having most of the morning in regards to storytelling and co-creation and in providing tools and resources for your fans to create with you. And as I mentioned, like where I wonder if things would have played out differently had we had some of these tools. Like you mentioned, like if we wanted some of the stuff that you can create with Doodles AI today, we had to commission another artist, like 3D artist or an animator or someone and it wasn't. I remember the couple of things I commissioned was like it started at like 0.1 ETH.
Some cheap. Oh yeah, 0.1 baby. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and now you can do far more for far less in terms of cost, and it really does add to. I mean, it's not just proliferating the IP. I think there's some unmeasurables in there as well. Like, what is that doing for fandom? Taking someone who was a customer into a brand ambassador. What does it do for sticky fans that they're not just bandwagon, they're going to come and go, but really become like deeply emotionally attached to said brand. And I think all this stuff, it compounds. Like it really does add up to that full experience. And I think it's you talk about being well positioned. I don't know when this NFT season 2 that I keep saying happens. I think that we're at the beginning of it. I do believe it's going to look very different than 21, 22 did, but it's this sort of stuff. It's doing things differently, experimenting, co-creating with fans. It takes teams leading and trying new stuff. It's not all going to hit. It's not all going to land, but we're not gonna get there if we're not making any efforts.
I think what we're doing is not market dependent in the way of like, our kind of like internal roadmap or North Star. Like we want to make an animated series or a feature length film using Doodles AI as our kind of creative engine. And there'll be several stops along the way there. That's not market dependent. But I would be lying if I said it wouldn't be more fun on the way there. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm excited for that.
Likewise. Appreciate you. Appreciate all that you're doing. Thanks so much for your time. I know it was impromptu but really appreciate it. Good luck with the mint. I will I think I'm going to go for one of the physicals. I think be a nice fit here in the office.
Discerning collector.
Yeah, right. Speaking of discerning collector, well, I saw Kev had a hand up, and we're going to go to a discerning collector here after Kev. We'll bring Spinotron in here and circle back to our conversation regarding collecting Panini basketball cards and more. Cap, you got a question or a thought for Doodles before we let him get out of here?
No, I just had a thought on what you guys were speaking about. That this is the ultimate fandom experience. That's so epic about it. I think through these tools, but also actual character creation, like what we're trying to do, right? Really integrating it into the story. That you own a character of a franchise that you can co-create with, I think, is the ultimate fan experience. So I think that part is so exciting.
Yep, agreed. Dude Lifts, thank you so much again. Best of luck with the mint tomorrow, and we'll talk about it again tomorrow. If there's anything between now and then, I know you said the price points are coming out in a couple hours. Feel free to shoot me a DM. We'll share that again on tomorrow morning show before the mint. And I said I think I'm gonna mint one of those. If it comes out, it's like $5,000. I'm probably gonna pass, but assuming it's
it will not be $5,000.
So price point I'm probably in, but good. Best of luck with everything. Congrats on the journey, and I truly am excited that you landed on the Doodles team. I don't think they could have hired a better guy who is not just capable, but also a true brand ambassador, someone who's very passionate about the brand. It's not just your background and your PFP, but it's you can tell that when you say Doodles is a lens, and then you sharing the Doodles story, it comes from a point of passion, and that's hard to fake. So congrats again. Excited to have you on the Doodles team, and we will do this again in the not too distant future, and we'll be rooting for the men tomorrow.
Dude, thanks, man. And I appreciate you, and thanks for reaching out. And CWC is the heartbeat of this space, so don't forget it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Hey, man, have a great one. We'll talk soon. And I'm trying to think how to properly, I failed because Doodles set me up perfectly earlier for the, speaking of collectors there, set me up perfectly for the pivot to Spinotron. I'm just gonna start there. Spinotron. Help me out. How do you properly pronounce your name?
You can call me Spino. Spinotron is probably. Spinotron is also okay.
Spino, appreciate you joining us. I don't think you probably didn't catch the earlier portion of the show where we did spend quite a bit of time talking about this explosion of Panini, not just in terms of volume, but these sales. I specifically shared your post. Panini blockchains had 37 sales of 10K, 5 ETH or more within the last 30 days. 4 of those over 100K, 7 over 40K. Really some impressive numbers. And I'm not trying to make this PvP, but someone asked, and so I did the comparison of like NBA Top Shot, and there's been during that same time frame only 2 sales over 10K, and one of those was a $16,000 sale, but it was a $10,000 loss for the seller. What do you think? I would be happy. I'd love to hear any by way of any introduction, anything you'd like to share about yourself. I know you're a respected collector in the space. So anything you'd like to share about your background or by way of introduction, I'd be curious. But the first question then after that is, what's driving this? Is this, were you expecting this? Is this taking you by surprise a little bit? If you had to summarize what's led to this recent resurgence in Panini, digital, assets, Panini NFTs, not new, they've been around for a while, but as of late, they've really caught a bid and it's hard not to notice.
I actually was doing my work, but I saw a tag right from this space, so I said, why not just join in and answer any questions? So for me, I'm a physical card collector since 2009, so I'm pretty well known in the entire hobby in the physical space. I kind of joined the Panini blockchain, like they're like a digital collectible franchise. As a collector, right? I jumped in fairly early on, like 2000. Already at the very first auction, I was there, but only in the secondary market. I was there since 2021, and basically, I'm a physical collector, spending my time right now away from the US, right? So I have a vault there. I'm managing all my assets remotely. I have very trusted friends who basically kind of carry out my wish, my instruction, right? Sometimes pick up cards in person and drop it off. So the entire experience for me is like a digital, right? It's kind of like a NFT interface and experience. So when this Panini version of NFT came about, I got really into it. And but the Panini brand, they don't like advertise too much, right? They have several ways to bring a physical collector into this ecosystem. So what I do, like I always do, is like try to curate this collectible asset, why it's so appealing, but also try to like evangelize and onboard the people into it, because I feel many people in my shoes will enjoy this, right? Because physical hobby is getting more expensive as we go on, right? And a box could be like thousands of dollars, and when you open it, it very well could end up with like 20% of the value, right? So on the blockchain side, the initial pack cost basis is really low. It's like 20 bucks all the way up to $500, which will be extremely high end. And mathematically you can calculate the ROI is pretty good. So I've been speaking on it on Instagram. Instagram is my mostly active place on it to the physical hobbyists for the past 4 or 5 years. To answer your question, why it's have such a like explosion, right? If you're looking from outside. But if you look from inside, right, with the collectors community, I think the community always been building, and the chart looks good, like it's always consistently growing. From I think late of 2024, let me see. Yeah, I switched my I switched the gear a little bit because Instagram, I think I more or less explain everything to the physical collectors. I feel like X is a space where other digital collectible collectors live, as well as crypto people, right? So I make an account and try to talk about this and bring a lot of collectors from different places to the Panini. And since then, I think we 4x of the community size. I'm not saying I'm the only reason for that, but I can kind of galvanize a lot of similar efforts from other people, and also the price action is pretty strong. I think in the past two years, it could be like from 3 to 5x, sometimes 10x. So it's pretty. Even then, I think for the same item, because we have a digital version and also physical counterpart, right? Right now, the ratio is still like maybe 1 to 2, 1 to 4. Like physical will be 4 times more expensive, or sometimes 10 times more expensive. So, but from my understanding, both assets are exactly the same, right? In my opinion, the blockchain version is more superior because it's frictionless and doesn't require any cost to do anything like authentication, grading, shipping, storage, auction, like fees and consignment fees. Nothing is needed. So, and also it kind of instantaneously reach out to everyone in the globe, right? I think it's the addressable market and appeal should be the same. So there's at least another 4 to 10x potential, but also could be going the other way. So there's more potential. That's why I'm very passionate to try to bring people in, because I think the earlier you get in, you can tap into this upside together with everyone. Yeah, that's more or less.
It does feel like one of those moments where it's been around for a while now. You've got, I mean, just in the last, as we talked about, just in the last month alone, 4 sales over 100K, 37 sales over 10K. So it's like established, but at the same time, I'm not to be cheesy, but it does still feel like it's very early, especially as it relates to those that are in the traditional card collecting space, right? And you know, you mentioned, you know, you're traveling, you're international, you're outside of this, like the ability to buy and sell a digital asset on a blockchain, far less friction. And you know, you talk about like where how to store it and vault it, like it's just better. So to me, I don't need to be sold on why digital collectibles over cardboard. But my question for you is, do you have a thought or a take on why, what makes this better than, let's say, NBA? And I'm not trying to make it PvP, but the reality is Top Shot came first. Like, do you think is it like, I was trying to come up with an answer earlier, and the only thing I come up with, like, I know there's a lot of reasons, but I think the card, the digital version of a card or a digital card, it's easier for someone who's been collecting cardboard for years to make that transition. I get it. It's the card, it's just on chain, and then all the benefits that come with that, as opposed to a video moment. Do you think it's that simple, or is there something else that you think is adding, or a reason why that Panini cards are taking off, whereas I don't want to say Top Shot's still floundering? But it's not just me saying this. It's not just sentiment. I mean, the data speaks. Like it is, as far as success goes, 37 sales over 10K versus 2 for Top Shot. Why is that? Is there that big of a difference between the card versus a video moment?
Okay. Let me. I think this is a very good question, and I think for a digital collectible, right, we should to be very clear what's the underlying asset, right? For Panini blockchain, it's the sports card, trading cards that has been around for 160 years. So it's like a very well-established notion ingrained into Americana and also Europe, right, through stickers and stuff. if you look, I put a website on my post before. If you look into all the possible movies and TV series, where sports card is the central device, core device, there have been like literally 500 plus mainstream movies and TV series, right? So it's something that is already well proven, stand test of time, and also physical space just going through the roof for the past like 5 or 6 years, right? So the underlying asset is very well proven, and Panini did is not reinvent the wheel. It's just try to recreate this on-chain, right? Try to capture the hobby we know and love on-chain. So that's the difference. But if you look at other digital collectible, especially to be like apple to apple, you look at the licensed sports card like Top Shot and All Day and the Candy, maybe Topps NFT, right? I think most of them had some problems throughout their kind of run. Either they mint too much, or the underlying asset is something new, has been proven, so the longevity is still being played out, right? Or the team just closed the shop, like Topps, or like the Candy, like the Futureverse is on the brink of bankruptcy, but they like Tad Smith, right, try to run it back. So it's, yeah, I think on the other side of this, Panini has been very consistent. The user base never left. It's keep on growing, right? Another point to explain the recent price action is that in the sports card, there's a very prominent structure between different cards. We have basically a card represent a season for this player, right? So if player did something crazy, so that card is extremely collectible. So we have the season anthology of a player. We have different player in the same set. We also have the same design, but different print run. So it kind of address the grail tier as well as the accessible tier, right? So if you put everything together, you will find out any two cards in the entire ecosystem are connected. So if something goes off due to some like demand, it sends a shockwave to every card in the space, right? There's a like tendency where people will find the arbitrage, or they want to just catch the same train, right? So there's a tendency everything can go up, and also because it's the sports card of originated from physical space, there will be physical collector coming in. So there have been some big physical collector entering, and they chase the super grails, right? They want the A1 tier first, then they start build out. So there's a few such guys who help to set those prices. But just to be clear, the prices are high, but actually it's a discount because some of the seller are I kind of give them a deal so that they can experience the instant upside, right? Grow together. It's not like they kind of bought our bags, but just give them some access to some grails and can grow together. So those two, and also there are certain prominent subculture, subsets in the entire ecosystem that are very popular, like Prism Gold and Kabooms. Like I mentioned in this post, those cards are doing the numbers in those records, right? Those are very easy first targets. And if you focus on within each of the categories, then you can establish a notion of the floor price, similar as the PFP NFT. Once you have a floor price, you can have people just taking away from the floors, right? They just stacking and so on. So the price kind of going up through that also, yeah. And also, yeah, please, what you want to say?
No, it's just very interesting. And I think, first of all, I really do appreciate you jumping on today with us, just impromptu. I saw you did a space yesterday with Poppy, a big fan of Poppy, and how he's moving in the space and that whole Quirkies thing. So I pinned that space up top if anyone wants to check that out after we get done. And I do think would love to invite yourself. I saw NFTs every day, shared some good stuff in the chat and helped point me in the right direction. He also mentioned this Melito Michael, Lobster guy is community leader that you all spun up a Discord recently, or I guess it's been around, but celebrating some stuff recently where it's giving away a Tom Brady Kaboom for the new members to join. So for those that are interested in checking out Panini blockchain and these Panini NFTs, there's several guides both from Spinotron and NFTs Every Day and the Panini blockchain market tracker. Those are pinned up top. If you want to dive in deeper, jump in the Discord. Sounds like a very opportune time to potentially do so and win a Tom Brady card that's worth several $1,000s. This is also the first time I've seen this chart. I've got your post pulled up here from June 1st, where you say May volume of sports/trading cards is an all-time high of 670 million per card ladder, up 9.7% from April. I'm not surprised, just based on pure vibes and sentiment and all that we're seeing on the timeline, but I am surprised to see how quickly it's like in January it's 445 million, February 482 million, March 606 million, April 616 million, May 676 million. I mean, at this trend, we're going to be doing $1 billion a month in volume before end of the year. It's really exciting to see. It's both worlds, right? It is the traditional world. At the same time, Panini NFTs are taking off, and we're big fans of I don't know if you're familiar with BZ or there's a few others that are competing in that similar industry where it's the physical traditional.
Yeah.
I know. But taking those and vaulting them, putting them in a Brinks vault, and doing the claw machines, and being able to basically take the physical, the RWAs, and bring them on chain to help reduce and eliminate some of that friction you mentioned about traveling and where do I store this stuff? How do I navigate these physical cards? It's exciting to me. Is it's not just one. It's not just the NFTs, the digital assets, but seeing it grow in lockstep with just pure total volume of sports and tradable cards. What I know, some people say, "Oh, the top's almost in. It's bubble-ish." I saw someone say, sell your Pokemon before the 30th anniversary drops. That'll mark the top. Do you have assuming no pressure? I'm not trying to force you to give us a financial outlook, but obviously very excited about Panini and all that's happening there. Do you have a feeling or an opinion on where are we at in this cycle? Do you see this growth like we're looking at in 2026? Can this continue up month over month, almost 10% for the foreseeable future? Do you anticipate somewhat of a pullback in terms of overall volume? What are your thoughts on just the sports/trading cards industry as a whole, both on and off chain?
Okay. The figure you mentioned from physical space, right? The physical cards, they are like from aggregate from eBay sales and all the auction house sales, like Alt, Heritage, Golden, and so on. Fanatics Collect, which is part of the tops. So I think the reason for this kind of climb, right? It's extraordinary. Basically, every month this year, from January to now, 5 months in a row, are all-time highs, right, in terms of total sales volume. I think it's a combination of a few factors. First is basically Panini kind of closed its physical catalog for NBA and NFL, right? So they transferred the license to Topps. So when that happens, it's like the supply is finite, it's capped. And historically speaking, when that happens, the price always goes through the roof because it's like supply demand 101, right? And many historical precedents also happens, and people are just nostalgic and just want to get the good stuff before like they leave the train. And another thing is like Topps basically ramp up their like releases. If you are familiar with the schedule, I think they release 2 to 5 new products every single day. So a lot of breakers, a lot of distributors, a lot of shops, influencers, they are like pumping up, like explaining hobby, and they also spend a lot of dollars to kind of to basically mass marketing the hobby. Like for example, put cards advertisement in the World Series, right, in MLB, and also put patches to the important games, player can wear and take it out, put into cards. And also lots of athletes start to collect, and a lot of team owners and celebrities, they start to collect. And those guys, they are involved in various different levels, right? But for example, Mike Trout and Griezmann, those are really true collector, right? Like breaking boxes, grading cards, and so on. So those guys will have network effect and influence further, right? So this kind of thing, both together, like the volume, marketing, and all the catalog closing and lift off, combined together, make sure the sports card going through the roof. And also the TCG also like always been there, like very massively participated. So the both combined give this situation. In my opinion, it's not like this is not like towards the top. It's like just part of the organic growth, because I think the sports card as a whole still like as a category, I think I calculate to be around 200 billion, like everything in it. Still very small compared to other like art and other stuff, right? So it's nowhere near its addressable market yet. And people experience some drawdown through the 2022 COVID bubbles, right? So that kind of filtered out certain collectors that are short-term, like profit chasing and sneakerheads. What they left with are like true collectors, like long-term, and also people change their collecting emphasis. So I basically have a notion to explain why certain cards crashed so hard from COVID, and why certain cards like climbing steadily. So the notion is called a coffin card and a commodity card, right? Coffin card is basically a card you keep until all the time, end of time, right? And also displayed in your coffin as kind of achievement. So it's a metaphoric description.
Mm-hmm.
So this type of cards like very strong because it's basically supply is zero, demand is infinite. So they will definitely drive the price, right? The other is called commodity card, which means it's still a very nice card. It's treated as a commodity, store of value, and go up and down together with the market. So those can crash hard when the market is down, but can run as market is hot, like now. So those, if you distinguish these two cards, you will find your alpha with limited downside and up, like a strong upside, which is the coffin card, right? You find a true collectible within the massively produced like collectible space. So that's very important. So I think if you stick to that, and it should be safe. And I think it's still early. We will see like this growth, but it's like everything else. Everything else is growing, right? It kind of in this like digital age, it's easy to propagate, like onboard, and also a lot of other assets are like risk-on assets, right? And like the chart goes wild. And down, if you have large capital, you want to protect it. I think sports card it's one of the kind of proven, and with upside and limited downside, so it have a asymmetric kind of risk profile. Yeah, I think it's very, very nice space.
Are you also do you also collect Pokemon, One Piece, or are you primarily just a sports card collector?
Yeah, I'm mostly sports card, but I have some very good friends in the TCG and Pokemon and the other space also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not quite the same because, for example, in the Pokemon, it's like unlimited, right? Unlimited is printed to demand. They just released the figure. They printed 10 billion cards last year, right? So there's a lot of cards, but they also have a lot of user base. So they absorb those kind of cards. So
it's wild to see. I saw someone talking about they've shared like it's went down each of the last years, but Pokemon's printing 10 billion plus cards a year, which is mind blowing to me. One of the things, and I didn't mean to keep you this long, so I really do appreciate your time. And open invite, would love to get you, maybe some other people from the Panini community. I mean, with someone from the team or community, I'm open. It's probably overdue to have a full, proper actual interview with, talking Panini blockchain and these cards. I mean, the data speaks for itself. What we're seeing. My one thought on the market, and in particular, in this case, the physical card market. What I think is why we're nowhere close to the top, or I shouldn't say nowhere. Why I don't think we're close to the top. Why I think it's still got a lot of room to run is, I think some of it does have to do with platforms like BZ and those others that are doing they're basically turning it into an RWA, bringing the NFT that represents one-to-one the physical card, and then vaulting it, reducing friction. And in BZ's case, it's a claw machine. Others have different gotcha mechanisms. But these chases for Grail item or Grail cards, I think what's happening there is, BZ's continues like their month. They've grown month over month and keep breaking their own records, as do I think a lot of their other competitors. And the bottleneck for them, like what they need to do to continue to grow, they have to continue to buy these cards. While some are getting redeemed, and Joey Vowles, who's on the BZ team, joined us earlier and shared that their redemptions actually are peaking as well. They're seeing more and more people actually redeem these cards and take possession of the physical card. In most cases, a lot of them are, even when they hit a Grail, they'll just swap it, sell it right back to the platform. And it's created this cycle where these platforms like BZ, they have a tremendous demand themselves on buying more graded cards to continue their growth. Like they need a lot of, so you have these platforms that are bringing these cards on chain. They need more and more cards. And often when they buy these cards, rarely do those cards ever get back into the market. Now they may sell or trade around on BZ, but few of them are being redeemed and then resold on eBay. And so and you combine that with, the PSAs of the world being so backed up on submissions and getting new cards graded. I can see a real supply crunch on graded cards. You're much deeper in the space than I, but does that thesis check out a little bit? Can you see, this demand for graded cards from the BZs of the world really kind of almost sucking out a lot of those graded cards from, the traditional markets like eBay?
That's a good point. I think because I think people still like to kind of experience some gambling kind of thrill, right? Chase of the biggest product hit in various product or repack products. And also so there's a poly market of everything, right? So this essentially is kind of the poly market for the sports card, where you can exactly the odds of hitting things, and it's very easy to participate. And you can play the odds game and so on, right? And some platform has buybacks, right? As you said, like the SIM card stay in the ecosystem for a long time until getting redeemed. The other, like the biggest hit could be like redeemed, and then the guy might want to like sell it or do whatever, and then those platforms have to go out and buy. Yeah, I think a lot of repackers are out in the car show. They just buy up like tables upon tables of very quality tables, right? And because I think they combine two things, like the repack products tend to be accessible compared to the more high-end product, and the less risk because they guarantee like certain buyback percentage, right? And also there's this kind of gambling-ish kind of spirit, right? So those kind of like fractionalize, but also tap into this thrill chasing aspect. So it kind of easily grow in terms of like just getting new people involved. And also on paper, those data looks amazing, because if you have, for example, $20 to buy a $10 pack, you open and redeem and you get another $9, right? You add $1 and keep doing the same.
Mm-hmm.
So you spend $30, you open like maybe 20 packs, which is $200, right? So there's this multiplying effect, 7x or 8x. So on chain, it can reach like billions of transaction volumes. But if you divide by 7 or 8, it's like thousands. It's like it's not too crazy, right? But that data helps to bring funding, scaling up the operation and bring out other competitors. I think this also helps. So it's kind of like a hack in some way, right? And combine all the I think easy onboarding, easy affordability and protection. Those are very easy for new guys to get in, right? And those guys, after a certain time, they will try to understand the hobby better and get in and buy the singles or buy the original product, right? I think they will also help to grow the space, right? I think it's a good point you mentioned, because I didn't mention this as a reason to the space is exploding. It's definitely play an important role. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting time. And again, I'll double down on it. I do feels, while it's established, it still feels it feels like we're early to an established product, something that has found product market fit, something that is bringing in the traditional collectors. And yet I'm going to guess a lot of them still, even if they're aware, they probably haven't dove deep into it. They probably don't hold any yet. And the market is so large, it doesn't take, even if 20% of those existing collectors end up coming on chain, it's just the numbers could get really silly. A couple of specific questions, and we'll get you out of here. I was just looking on the Panini America website, and I saw that you'd recently picked up the Caitlin Clark 1 of 1. Congratulations on that. That's a great get. And I went to their pack drop. The current or the most recent one was a select series soccer packs that are sold out. How often are they doing pack drops? Is that on a regular cadence? Like every Thursday they do a pack drop? Is it more like once a month? Is it more random? How often are they doing pack drops on Panini?
I think it's at least 1 or 2 times per month.
Okay.
And but they don't, because there are a lot of kind of collaboration and coordination with leagues and lawyers and everything else, right? So they couldn't, digital is it's completely different beast to the physical. So they couldn't have a product release schedule. Once they are ready and not to clunk together, I think they will drop something. I think the product that is worth watching out for is a World Cup themed products.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, World Cup is a big drop. I think I would argue probably the single most important product drop in the history of a Panini blockchain. So I'll be sure to make some posts, and guys need to get in on that, right? Just buy the full allocation you can and follow some the chat in the timeline. What's next and what's to do. I think typically it's 1 or 2 times per month. I think 5 times or so for each sports. And although the pack drop is the easiest way to get in, but the secondary market is the most vibrant, right? You can just go in today, buy some packs and also single cards. So you can open packs for the older release as well. There are people listing the sealed pack you can open. And if you're not sure about which are the good packs, EV positive packs, or which pack has the big chase hasn't been put, you just reach out to those Panini folks. They will happily direct you to a pack opening experience. Yeah, it's very fun.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm in. I appreciate, again, yourself, NFT Every Days. I'm going to do some more exploring. I guess for someone like me who's, albeit not nearly as deep into the space or have even remotely close to the collection that you do, but I've collected sports cards since I was a kid. I did the whole Top Shot thing, but I don't have any Panini NFTs today. Where I'm going to absolutely be paying attention. I'd love to get some of the World Cup packs. I'd love to rip some of those. That'll be a blast. That'll be a lot of fun. And I also like the idea of buying a pack for 20, 30, 40 bucks and potentially hitting a grail, as opposed to going out there and buying, grew up a Jerry Rice fan. And while I'd love to hold this 1 of 1, I'm not in the market to drop 25K on a card right now. Now, granted, this is this set here does include it has the matching physical twin. So it's, you get the digital variant, as well as if you ever want to redeem it and get that physical card, you can. But where?
No, it doesn't. It's a digital only.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. But some of the cards have the physical matching, but I think that's very special.
Few. Okay. Where?
It's very special happening in the past. Right now, it's mostly digital only.
Got it. Where, I mean, someone like me who's like, I'm interested, I want to explore. I'm guessing like, hey, go join that Discord, join the community, ask some questions. Keep an eye out for these packs. Where else, like, do you have a recommendation for a good starting point? Is it simply collect who you like, collect what you want to collect? Maybe identify a particular, like, I like Wimby, so go try to find a good deal on a Wimby or something like that. Is there anything else I'm missing in terms of like, where's a good starting point for someone that's new, not necessarily to sports cards, but new to Panini? What any recommendations on best places to start?
Yeah. First of all, because there's this ongoing giveaway, right?
Mm-hmm.
You sign up on Panini. Basically, you download the Panini Direct app and just sign up and buy like one item, like $1 or something. Then then join the official Discord. Then you will enter this giveaway, right? For the one you mentioned, Tom Brady, Kaboom, which is the floor right now is like 7,000 or something. So it's a pretty strong giveaway. And once you sign up, there's also a website like nft.paniniamerica.net where you can do the same on the laptop also. Once you join there, I think my recommendation is to go with the GOATs, the greatest of all-time players, right? So for basketball, it's LeBron Curry. For the football, American football, it's Tom Brady and Mahomes. For the soccer, like the English football, the worldwide known as football, is Messi and Ronaldo, and also Otani in the baseball. So those 7 players, it's almost like a magnificent 7 on the Panini blockchain. There's no downside risk, right? A lot of potential. If the platform grows, it just goes crazy. So you focus on those. But also if you really like prospecting the young guys, right? I think the Yamal and Wimby, Clark, like Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, those kind of guys are also very collectible. So there are a bunch of things you can do. And then if you to start it out, probably focus on the Prism or Kaboom, right?
Okay.
And also study, because everything is there. The complete data and provenance are there. So you study the price. Do not like just go out and buy by the lowest listed price. You can make an offer like relative to the recent thing, or if it's close enough, you can just buy it. I think it's, you need to be patient and learn a little bit and start it out slowly. I think, a lot of people are willing to help. So my suggestion is always focus on Prism, Kaboom, or the card with more market cap and of the top players or the proven rookies. Those are probably the better. Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, again, really appreciate you sharing. And these stats, I continue to be blown away by the just the raw data. In the last month alone, over 5.5 million in volume, 113,000 transactions across 4,000 unique sellers, 2,500 unique buyers. Top sale was 150K, and currently there's 95,000 unique owners, which is I would have never guessed. There's already that many. It really feels like it's having a moment, and appreciate you taking the time. And for anyone else that's interested, I mean, no pressure to buy anything, but if you are curious, if you're going to explore, I mean, take advantage of that giveaway. A $7,000 Tom Brady card would be a heck of a way to start a collection. So you may as well join the Discord. Do you follow the proper steps? It's all pinned up top. But even if I understood it right, even a simply buying $1 card and joining the official Discord, you're in the running for a giveaway. And it's not. My understanding is it's new. It's people who have joined within like the last month or so. So it's not you're not competing against 94,000 other people in this giveaway. Like you're not going to be competing against Spinotron or anyone else. It's new entrants, right?
Yeah, from May 11th onwards, I think the number of people who are qualified for this is a very small number. So you have probably the biggest odds in the lottery setting, kind of a quote unquote. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, again, I really appreciate your time today. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for the education. Appreciate you sharing the post, which started this conversation. And I'm really fortunate here. I enjoy hosting this show, but it's very much so a community-driven show. And just like we had Dude Lifts on for an impromptu interview talking about the Doodle Mint, you joined us today. It's like almost every day we have someone from the community or the space at large that jumps in, is much more of a subject matter expert on something than I am, and not only helping educate our audience, but myself as well. I certainly think a lot of today's show, and we usually only go 2 hours. We're usually live from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern. The extra hour has certainly been worth it today, and I appreciate all of you that hung out with us and stuck around for the marathon show. I know producer Payne is probably shaking his head at me, but Spino, anything I didn't ask you, or anything you were hoping to share before we let you get out of here today?
Nothing much. It's a little bit impromptu, as you mentioned. I'm very happy to hop on in the future shows. We can chat things in more depth.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I think the opportunity at Panini blockchain is overwhelming. I think I would say it's a once in a generation, because we're still in the onboarding curve, right? A lot of people will be enjoying this, but not aware of it, right? And also we have kind of like a Damien Hirst experiment. We have digital, but we have physical out there. You can just compare the price, right? To see the gap getting narrower, like month over month. So we have short-term wise, like 5x kind of closing the gap, but also we have the onboarding, which will kind of increase the demand, and the supply in some very key sectors are capped. And we also will be on Ethereum soon, right? So there will be native Ethereum people discovering it. And this World Cup onboarding. Yeah, so a lot of triggers and catalysts. And also team also have some new infrastructures like valuation system, AI kind of recommendation, and collector scoring and staking. So there are a lot of things hasn't been kicked in yet. So the potential is in the future, I think. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Very exciting. Well, I will take you up on that. I am looking forward to doing a deeper dive here soon. I did also shout out to NFTs Every Day, who helped connect me with you. He also tagged Lobster Guy, who was heading that spearheading that giveaway. Bill O'Banks, as another big collector, would be a great person to have join as well. Lobster Guy already responded in the comments that he's 100%. Just let him know when. So if not next week, certainly in the near future, I'd love to have you all back on. We'll do a Panini panel, if you will, and hopefully by then I have I'm not only collecting. Hopefully by then I've won that $7,000 Tom Brady kid. But
nice. Yeah,
Spino, it was great to connect. Thanks so much again for your time today. Really appreciate it. And shout out to Ernest joining us, talking about Unvault and all they're doing to push the space forward, protecting royalties and helping projects go multi-chain. Shout out to Doodles for joining us and walking us through that Doodle Mint. That goes live tomorrow. Also, a reminder that there's that other mint today is the the F. is the glyphs by F. That mint goes live here soon. And then the one thing I didn't hit on, we'll touch on this tomorrow. I did put it up top, but there's, I think, a relatively big announcement from MoonPay came out this morning. They introduced Moon Agents desktop app. Download the free app, connect your ChatGPT or Claude account, give your AI agent the power to move value on-ramp stablecoins with zero fees, set automations, use artifacts, create skills. Now available on Mac OS. I'm excited to even dive into that a little. I know like agents transacting and managing some on-chain funds isn't necessarily new, but I do think it's relatively new to see something like this from a large established brand like MoonPay. So I think that's another team we're going to have on. We're already in the DMs. We're going to get them on next week as well to do a little deeper dive there. But good stuff. Spino, great to connect once again. Appreciate y'all being here today. Thanks so much for hanging out for the Marathon Show. And go check out, no obligation to mint any of those things, but between Dort's monthly mint with the Good Vibes Club, go give, even if you're not going to mint that, go give the post some love. You can support our friends in many ways beyond just 0.002 ETH. You can the retweets, the reposts, the likes, all that stuff goes a long way. Same thing with the Doodles mint and this Glyphs mint coming up this afternoon. So the excitement is back. I can sense it not only in myself, but the passion for from our guests, and excited for got another guest tomorrow and Friday as well. So it's gonna be a jam-packed week, and I think we've already set up maybe a full week next week for special guests. So if you're new here, we do run this back every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Today was episode 1174. Usually the typical flow, the first hour of the show is news of the day, trending topics, and then not every day, but often we are joined by a special guest around that 9 o'clock hour to do a deeper dive on a particular subject or two. But with that, thanks again for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 8. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.